What's going on, you guys? It's your boy Patrick, aka Addicted to Combat, back for another edition of the panel. This time it's for the big pay-per-view this week for the BMF title on the line. Lightweight action at UFC 291 out of Salt Lake City. Got some awesome guests, and alongside me, my co-host, the CouchWarrior podcast. Man, just finished up your law exam. How'd that go for you, Mike?
Dude, it's one of those tests where you just don't know till you find out. So,
how long do you have before the results? How many days do you have until results time?
3 fucking months.
Whoa. 3 months? What?
Yeah. They said "fuck you, Mike," and that's where we're at.
Well, that's fun. You can just assume you passed for the next 90 days. Keep on watching UFC action. Gamble your life away. Know that you're going to get that law money when it comes back around.
Man, we'll see. Knock on wood.
How are you feeling about this card, Mike? You got a lot of bets in. I've got very little action compared to normal.
So I had very little action, and then Prop Talk happened. If you guys haven't checked it out, make sure to check that out on Twitter. But and then I added like 8 spots. So
nice.
I'll be talking about it tonight. I'm super hype. All that crap is behind me now with the test. Back to fights. They just dropped Dana White's Contender Series stuff. I'm boosted. I'm ready to go.
Great. Back to your real job, dude. Gambling on mixed martial arts and broadcasting it to the world. And we got 2 awesome guests, both of which you've seen on this channel before. We have the very awesome Effie, who is live in Salt Lake City in a makeshift hotel studio here. And he's representing the AnyActionSportscast channel. Go ahead and check that out. Link is in the description. He does full card breakdowns, some fighter interviews and things like that. How are you doing, Effie?
Good, man. I'm super excited. I'm at like 5 Coronas deep right now in my hotel room. I'm at the fights, dude. I went to the press conference today. I'm super stoked. I have a bunch of bets, 7 bets on this card. Way too many, if you ask me. But I'm pumped, man. Thanks for having me on. I can't wait to talk about these fights.
Of course, dude. I'm glad to hear it. Glad that we have one representative actually at elevation. How do you feel, man? Do you feel in shape? Do you feel like you're gassing out right now? Are you going to make it through all 12 fights tonight?
It's nothing. It's nothing, dude. These guys are all pussies complaining. What are we doing? Just get over it. It's all in your head.
Are you going to make the walk to the stadium, to the venue?
Yeah.
He's going to run.
He gets TKO'd before he gets down there.
Ooh,
Wizz, representing WizzDoes, another guy that does full card breakdowns, fighter interviews, a member of the media. How are you doing, Wizz? How do you feel about this card overall?
I'm doing good. Thank you guys for having me. Effie, it's a pleasure. And I'm really excited for this card. Currently sitting at 4 bets, 3 money lines and a prop. And I think that's probably what the final slate's going to look like. Got some massive CLV, and that usually doesn't happen with me. So I'm excited to be on the right side of the number. Now let's just be on the right side of the outcomes too.
Yeah, can't wait to hear what numbers you got. There was a lot of those lines that opened up at just ridiculously good deals, and the market's kind of corrected those. A decent amount of close fights on here where you could argue the underdog, but out of these 12 fights, who's the biggest underdog? It's Bobby Green, is it not? Is Bobby Green still minus 400? I think he's the biggest favorite on the entire card. Yeah, so we got him, Miranda Maverick, who we'll talk about soon. But yeah, I'm kind of like you, Wiz, where I have 3 money line bets. I've got a few props on the main event we'll talk about, and overall just doing like a degenerate round robin to get that out of my system for some of these bigger props I see. But we can shout out the chat before we dive into the prelims. We got Bucky's MMA picks saying, "What's up, everyone? So pumped for this card." Dude, I'm right there with you, man. Like, it's kind of grown on me as the week has gone on researching the fights. It seemed like kind of a lackluster card to begin with, but now when you realize, what's on the line for a lot of these guys like Stephen Thompson, Derek Lewis, trying to, maintain in their older age their spot in the rankings, the light heavyweight title and the light heavyweight title implications in the co-main event, super exciting as well. And Effie, you said Pereira looked huge at the press conference, right?
Yeah, when he came on the stage, I was like, oh my God, he's enormous. Like, he looked like 6 inches taller than Jan Blachowicz. It was wild. He's enormous.
Right. Like, stats wise, him and Izzy are not that far apart, but when they fought, remember how big Pereira looked compared to him? We might have that same effect. We got Dixon Sider in the chat saying, "What's up, Patty? What is up, Dixon?" My guy Monk Maddox just did his unnamed nickname show, which was a banger. So much fun watching Monk just rip apart Miranda Maverick's nickname. One of the worst ones in history. What is up, Monk? We got Lou Betty in the chat as well saying Effie wins the thumbnail pick. Yeah, man, with the shades on. Dude, he always looks cool as ice, dude. Cool as ice.
Let's go, Lou.
Lou, I'm right there with you, man. Me and Lou have been celebrating for a week straight. Johnny Parsons bets cash. Amazing. Representing the USA. Mullet Nation. Dude,
Shout out
knocking out
Johnny by God Parsons.
By God, Parsons. Yeah, man. Hallelujah. So that was one of the worst bets I've ever placed, but one of the most satisfying bets to ever cash was betting on Parsons.
That was so much fun.
Yeah, Bucky's right. Hot chocolate had nothing for him last week. Just absolutely amazing. We got SD Crusader in the chat as well. Not addictive. Shouting out Maverick. I don't know if that's Fear the Maverick or if that's the Maverick Michael Chiesa. We've got two Mavericks in this card, but what is up? Non-addictive. Anthony W. We got a stacked crew. We got James S. in the house. CT710. What is up, boys? My guy, Cucumber. What a treat to join you all tonight. Anxious to all of your takes. I can't wait to see where we line up. Very good to see you, Cucumber. My girl, Jenna Marie, saying, what is up, guys? Hopefully you've got some champagne or something. I see you cheersing us with the hearts in the chat. Hopefully you're sipping on something tasty, Jenna. We got 138. My guy, Tyler. Go check out his channel. And, man, rumor has it he has the best picking percentage on YouTube.
All luck. It's all luck.
It's not luck. It's not luck if you do it consistently, Effie, which you have been killing it, my friend. And, yeah, here's Monk saying, fear the, what are we fearing exactly? I told Monk, I said,
that's funny.
Miranda needs the, and then her last name is Takedown. That would be great. But,
oh, my God.
WizzDoes in the chat himself, dude.
All in favor of the rolled up sleeve crew. Say aye.
Yeah, dude. We got Mike a little shy. He's the guy in the pool with his shirt on tonight.
I don't own a single like sleeveless shirt. Not one.
Do you own a pair of scissors?
I do. Should I go get them and cut off the sleeves?
Yeah.
Roll them up.
What is up, MPTV? I had to rub my woman's feet to be here. Let's go. Well, that's what I call a win-win situation, dude. She's got nice rubbed feet. Probably. And you are here watching the show, hanging out with us, man. Amazing. That's a good man right there. Good to have you, MPTV. But, oh, man, let's dive into the first fight of the night. We got 12 to go through, so it's not a marathon like last week with 15 fights, but all of these are quality ones. Starting with the women's flyweight division, we got Miranda Maverick taking on Priscilla Cachoeira. We got ourselves a classic wrestler versus striker matchup. I mean, Miranda Maverick has been pretty dominant, but only when she's facing women that can't handle the pressure for takedowns. When she faces girls that have good wrestling, like Jasuda Vicious, like an Erin Blanchfield, then she doesn't really do all that well. Her striking is not up to par, but against Priscilla Cachoeira, who does not have good takedown defense or good striking defense, this seems like somewhat of a justified price tag on Miranda Maverick, at least being a sizable favorite. I don't know about minus 280 for Miranda Maverick. We got plus 240 on Zombie Girl Cachoeira, who has to go back down to 125 for the first time fighting in a year. So, man, Wiz, tell me this. Does Miranda Maverick successfully rinse and repeat takedowns, and how did she do in this matchup?
Yeah, I mean, in this fight, I do expect Miranda Maverick to go for takedowns. We saw in the last matchup, she got just overpowered by Jasmine, who is a much bigger girl and in her own right is a wrestler and grappler. So Miranda, we saw her go for takedowns and attempt to takedowns in that fight, just wasn't able to land any, was getting reversed a ton. So, yeah, I just don't think if you guys watch the tape, Priscilla does not show any promise when it comes to defending takedowns. And when the fight hits the mat, she's just like a fish out of water, for lack of better words. I think Miranda's going to be able to find the takedowns here and stay away from the danger until she gets them and then find the sub on the mat. But that's just how I see it personally.
All right. Effie, do you agree with this? And do you see any props in this fight that you would like to chop down on Miranda Maverick money line?
I mean, I would hope so. I have the under 2.5 rounds at minus 115 or 110 for 1.1 units to win one. And I did get a little crazy since I'm going to be at the fights. I will bet a little bit more, because I want some action on some fights. But I do think the stylistic matchup is there in this one. So, like you were just saying, the defensive takedown ability isn't there from Cachoeira, and neither is the striking defense here. I do think, though, once the fight starts, I think that Cachoeira is going to take the center of the cage and have Miranda on the back foot, but it's just going to be one of those things where one or two exchanges where she overextends, boom, right away, level change, get the hands clapped. Once their hands are together, I think that Maverick rides her for the whole round or ends the fight. So I think that on the match, she's going to pass her guard fairly easily or snatch that submission on the way up. I actually don't mind a knockout prop here on Maverick because I think a ground and pound finish can happen. Off her back, Cachoeira, I mean, I don't want to call her a fish, but she's pretty bad. So, yeah, give me Maverick to finish this fight early. I'm going to go round one, ground and pound.
All right, not bad. Mike, Mr. Couch Warrior, how do you feel about that? I know Maverick plus 600 for the KO. Do you prefer that? Do you think that's worth, kind of a poke on this fight?
Listen, man, it's not for me for this fight, but it's one of my favorite angles. I talk about it all the time. When you have a fantastic grappler and everyone expects the sub, they kind of forget that ground and pound is a thing, and the line will be way off. So I'll never hate on that. It's just in this particular matchup, I don't really see her going ham with the ground and pound. I think she's just going to be looking for that sub, and I do think she's going to get it. I took it at plus 210. I thought that was a good price. That's like an implied probability of 32%, which I think is off here. I think she subs her at least half of the time. So I put a half unit on that. I think the gap in the ground game is just much, much wider here than the gap in the striking. Technique-wise, I guess I'll give it to Priscilla. She definitely has the power. There's no question there. She's got the power here. She'll probably land the better shots, but the gap on the ground, the second she gets taken down, I think she's kind of fucked here. Like, you look at the Mazzani fight. She's getting taken down and controlled until Mazzani gets exhausted. And Maverick's not going to get exhausted. She's not going to tire out and then get knocked out late. I really don't expect that. She's training with Jillian Robertson, who subbed Priscilla as well. I'm not one to put too much stock into that, but that's never a bad thing, grappling with another really good grappler. So, yeah, long-winded way of saying I think Maverick gets the sub here.
Yeah, you're right. And even Jillian Robertson, who doesn't have very good takedown accuracy, she was able to just duck under, level change, get it all done in round one right before the buzzer. So even though Cachoeira almost poked her eye out, she was still able to get the job done by rear naked choke.
This is a Yambags fight.
Yeah, certainly one of those Yambag situations here. But yeah, I'm on the same side as you guys. We're all equally on Miranda Maverick. The money line, it's hard to trust her after she's dropped the ball as a big favorite last time. But, this is a whole different ball game here. And normally I'd be finding any way to bet Cachoeira and try to bet her finish. But I was able to do so last year because it was against Lipsky, who's got durability issues, in my opinion, and had just missed weight a couple weeks before that. This is not the same case. We got Maverick training at elevation already. That already is kind of an advantage, even though she's on short notice. So, yeah, a lot of sketchy stuff going on here. I think Maverick gets it done to start the night.
I think this is the only fight where we can say that it might end in disappointment. It might end in disappointment. Yeah. Miranda Maverick is not the most opportunistic finisher, I would say. I mean, she didn't finish Shanna Young. So I would not be surprised if this is just a 15-minute affair. But
yeah, that's honestly my thought, and that's why I stayed off of betting this one. Even that under 2.5 seemed like it was a nice way to cover both sides. The most likely side of Miranda Maverick inside the distance, but also if she goofs up. But yeah, just because of that, she's too patient sometimes, so I just didn't bother with this one. But what's up, Nora Ashley in the chat? We got Daz Files filtering it in. My guy Sean K.
We all look like fighters.
Yeah,
Effie looks like Tony Ferguson's child. You're Cyril Gahn's brother. I've been saying that forever. Cyril Gahn's jealous of Pat's muscles. Wizz, I can't really place you in an MMA family. I don't know where you'd go. For some reason,
you always call me Charles Jourdain, and then everyone.
Oh yeah, there you go, Charles Jourdain's second cousin.
It's either Charles Jourdain or I get Dominic Reyes, so it's one or the other.
Oh no, it's Reyes. Right. It's Reyes. It's definitely Reyes.
Nah, I vote Jourdain.
I don't want Reyes' chin.
You got the same proportions as Dominic Reyes, right? Like you're just as tall as him, like pretty long as a kickboxer. Not bad. I take that back. No, Dominic Reyes looked weird, didn't he? He had like a weird long torso.
He has a long torso.
Yeah, it's very strange.
I'm good on that.
Yeah, I'm good
on these guns.
Victor J. De Jesus saying, "What's up, D-Gens? Good to see you, Victor." We got my guy Dale from the Punch List MMA podcast. We got him calling one of these ladies to miss weight. I know we got Maverick on short notice. I think she'll be good, but we also have Cachoeira, who weighed in at 130 last time she tried to make flyweight, and the fight was called off. So,
dude, real quick, that's funny because Maverick one time someone missed weight and then blamed their period, and Maverick roasted them. Like she went in like, "Oh, I don't care. Like it's just a part of the business." So I don't think she's gonna miss weight.
Well, at least she can do it. I'm not going to roast anybody for having their period, but Miranda Maverick, I think she's earned that right as a woman, so whatever. Kiwi in the house, what is going on? Yeah, we got Effie chilling at the Holiday Inn. Man, all right. And we got my guy, Zach Singleton, in the house saying, my guys, and Effie getting all the love tonight, but we can move on to something a little bit more interesting at welterweight. We've got Matt Semelsberger taking on Uros Medic. Uros Medic, a name we haven't seen in the UFC in a little over a year since he took out Omar Morales by knockout. Matt Semelsberger has been pretty active. He had a fight this year, a very close split decision loss against Jeremiah Wells. So, both guys have been kind of up and down. Uros Medic burst on the scene out of the Alaskan Regionals, came onto the Contender Series, and then in his debut also getting quick finishes. But, of course, Jalen Turner was able to upset him a year and a half ago by club and sub. Matt Semelsberger shows a lot of power. My issue in this fight, guys, is that Uros Medic is really like a fast starter who's never been to a scorecard before, whereas Matt Semelsberger, he's shown a good ability to hang in there with top-level competition and at least stretch out his reserve to go a full 3 rounds and look pretty good. You remember his fight at the end of last year with Jake Matthews, scoring a takedown and a knockdown in every single round of that fight, looking pretty impressive. So I do have a moneyline bet on Matt Semelsberger. I'm pretty confident in at minus 165 for a couple of units. But how does he get it done? Do you guys agree with that, or is there any Uros Medic love in the chat? I know you like your underdogs, Mike. You got any love for Uros Medic?
No, man. I went pretty heavy on Matt at first. I threw 1.65 units on his money line. I parlayed him with Bobby that we'll talk about later. And then I was retaping it today, and honestly, I got a little anxious about it, so I hedged a bit with Medic by knockout at plus 350 for a third of a unit, just to cover my ass a little bit, because I don't see Medic winning a decision here by any means. If he wins, it'll be a knockout. And I do think Matt should dominate here. He's better everywhere, in my personal opinion. I think he's the better striker. I think he's going to have more power. If someone's going to grapple, it's going to be him, and I think he could do it if he needs to. I'm a little concerned because Medic is very fast. He does have a lot of power, and he's coming up to 170, and it's not like he's forcing it. He has the frame for welterweight. He's the same height as Semelsberger, and I would bet that he's actually going to look a little bit taller. So I'm a little concerned about the power kind of filling in, and he's already had it. So that's why I kind of just hedged off a bit, but I do think Matt gets it done. I mean, I love the guy. I've got some bias also. He's a friend of the show. He's been on the CouchWarrior pod. Me and Wizz cashed him as an underdog. Wizz was on my show.
Hell yeah.
Nice.
We were talking about that one.
310.
Hell yeah. We cashed that ticket. So yeah, I love the guy. Think he's got this. Think he's going to knock him out, but I hedged a little bit because I felt I was overexposed.
Yeah, man, I'm kind of on the same side as you. Effie, I mean, we've got a couple of strikers here. Semelsberger likes to switch stances, but it's that laser right cross, usually getting the job done. We got Medic out of the southpaw stance, jabbing people, hitting them with body kicks. Who do you favor in this matchup?
So, I mean, I'm joining everyone and their mama. I have Semelsberger's money line at minus 170, 1.5 units on that. And there's a reason I didn't go bigger, because I do think that Medic is a good, sophisticated striker. I think that he has a speed advantage in this fight going up a weight class. I want to see what that looks like, but last week with Barberena going up a weight class is a little different than this, because Mike was just saying, his frame is not horrible. He's not like a small doughy guy, whereas Barberena was old as hell, fat, and going up and have a speed disadvantage. Where here, I think Mensch is actually probably going to have a speed advantage here, but off the back foot. And if the fight gets extended, I think there's a bunch of red flags going in the favor of Semelsberger. And I just think that the power advantage is big time here for the natural 170 here. Give me Semelsberger's money line. I don't think this goes the distance, and if it does, I'll be shocked.
Yeah, we've got the over-under in this matchup right now sitting at, let me pull it up here, Semelsberger, Uros Medic. Over-under, it's set at 1.5. We've got the over at minus 135. Wizz, do you think it reaches at least 7.5 minutes here?
I think there definitely is a chance for this fight to go over 1.5. Personally, I could see Semelsberger playing it a little bit safer for that first round and a half, wear him out with the wrestling, and then taking over from there, finding a late finish. Personally, and this is coming from someone who has grappled with Uros Medic before, so I know how he is and what he has to offer on the mats. For those that don't know, he used to train here at King's MMA for a while. I'm not sure if he's still there because I left the gym personally, but I do think that Semelsberger is going to have the edge here on the mat, in the wrestling, and when it's striking, he just has to stay safe for that first round and a half. But yeah, I'm on Semelsberger as well. I got the line at minus 150, so pretty pleased with that.
Nice. Yeah, that's
they killed it on that line, dude. Good job.
Absolutely. Yeah, because that's moved all the way to minus 200 now for Semelsberger. Yeah, that actually took off like early in the week. That took off, and I was surprised. I saw it right at minus 150. Did the tape for the fight before I could even pull the trigger on it. It's already minus 165. So good Anya getting in early on that one. Sean K thinking he sees improvements from Matthew every fight. I think so too. The guy seems like he's going to be in there for a while. He's just faced some really tough guys. Chaos Williams, survived against that power puncher for a 3-round decision that was at least competitive, right? Jeremiah Wells last time he was knocking down Jeremiah Wells, but it just seems like he struggles with that top wrestling pressure. When people can hold him down, he kind of struggles there, but that's not going to be the case in this fight, most likely. So
that is the one thing that I can attribute to Medic to Semelsberger is that he has a chin. And when was the last time you saw anyone knock Jeremiah Wells down? Not just once. It was multiple times, twice, 3 times almost. So, this guy carries a punch and he can take one too.
Yeah, having a bet on Semelsberger last time, that was very frustrating to see how close he got in a couple of those to finishing the fight by TKO. What is up, Papa Chuck saying, holy nutsack boys, all my guys in the same place. Effie, sorry for missing out this weekend. Yeah, that's you're in Papa Chuck territory over there. So
yeah, he actually met Papa Chuck at the last card. He came, we linked up. Yeah, it was cool, super cool.
I forgot you did mention that at one point. Yeah, good to see you, Papa Chuck. Let's see. Yeah, we can move right along. Another fight where we all land on the same side of, right? We got Maverick, we got Semelsberger. Let's see if this tricky flyweight fight we end up on the same side of. I see a lot of mixed opinions. Over CJ Vergara versus Vinicius Salvador, the American CJ Vergara, been in the UFC a handful of times now. I think he's gone 2-2 in his efforts so far in the league. Vinicius Salvador making the second appearance after dropping the ball against, who am I thinking of now? Victor Altamirano. Just a few months ago. So looking for his first win, the Brazilian creative striker, one of these guys who kind of switches stances, keeps his hands down, uses flashy kicks, spinning attacks, that the whole deal. And looks like he's got power. But what I want to ask you, CouchWarrior, to start this off, I mean, Salvador, we saw him on the Contender Series last year just completely annihilate Shannon Ross. Now seeing Shannon Ross barely able to take one punch in the UFC, does that lower your initial conception of like a Salvador power advantage in this spot? Do you think that he's the real deal after seeing how Shannon Ross has kind of failed now?
I mean, I've been screaming this since that fight was like made, that Shannon Ross sucks. Like it was never a shocker to me. I didn't know, it was a shocker to me that people weren't picking it up. Shannon Ross was a favorite going into that Salvador fight, and I was screaming off the top of my lungs, what are you people doing? And then Salvador showed up and did his job, but like it didn't make him look any better to me just because I don't think Shannon Ross is any good. And in fact, the fact that Shannon Ross was able to land, I think it was 65 significant strikes on him, if anything, lowered my opinion of him, not heightened it. The dude's got power, but Shannon Ross is Shannon Ross. I mean, my guy Kevin Aguilar came in there and went,
yeah, just one punch knocked him out. Was that 15 seconds? Insane.
Crazy. I was hyped about that.
About the over and under in this fight, Mike, do you see this going the distance, or do you see CJ Vergara possibly putting out Salvador down the stretch of this fight?
So I think I'm going to hit the under. I've got Vergara parlayed up with, we'll talk about him soon, but I feel like Vergara is just a cleaner striker. I think he's the better guy. I trust him more to bring in the pressure. I trust him more to last all 3 rounds. And I am going to tackle violence. I think I'm going to take that under 2.5. I'm waiting to see what happens with the line because it seems like it's going the other way. So if I can get something even better than minus 135, that would be great. And Sean, I mean, that's one way to cap a fight, just looking at the weight class. But I mean, you got to look at the guys, right? You got Salvador, who has crazy power. It is Shannon Ross, but he did knock him down 3 freaking times. He swings from the hip. The guy's got crazy power. But he also slows down, and Vergara can pick up the pace and finish him late. So I really like that under, and I will probably get there.
Okay, great. Yeah, Wizz, just talking about the striking of these guys. You're a striking expert yourself. One thing I don't like from CJ Vergara, he seems to struggle with head movement. Like he can't really get out of the way of strikes, especially early in a fight. We saw him hurt in his last one and had to do the Chelsea Chandler and kind of run for about 8 seconds. Obviously, that's Daniel Da Silva, who's a powerful fast starter, but Salvador keeps his hands down. CJ Vergara, I think, is kind of slow to react to strikes. Do you think that's going to aid in a violent spot here?
I mean, both guys have pretty bad striking defense. Salvador uses a tall man defense. Arms are down, like you mentioned. And then CJ Vergara is a type that just doesn't move his head off the center line. So when you combine both of those things, and then with Vergara not looking so good against Lacerda, getting dropped multiple times, That's not a good look. Salvador does have some power, so I wouldn't be surprised if he rocks Vergara. But personally, I think if Vergara wants to win this fight, it's going to be through the wrestling. And we've seen how Salvador is off of his back in that last fight against Altamirano. He didn't really offer too much, and he didn't really look like he was trying to get up all that often. So conceding minutes on the mat is not something you want to do against CJ Vergara. I'm not saying that he's some power wrestler that has great top control, but I mean, in his fight against what was his name? I'm blanking out here. Against Clayton, he showed that he's able to reverse positions if he's on his back, and then he's able to keep the position when he's on top. So I think he can win out minutes and win out rounds just with the grappling and wrestling on its own. So I think Vergara around this price, minus 140, minus 135, is probably a little bit more accurate than what the line opened at. So, yeah, I do think Vergara ends up winning this fight in a close decision, personally.
All right, so leaning the over slightly on this one, and your prediction. Effie, how do you feel about this matchup? Are you going to make it once again? Because I am on the Vergara side slightly myself. Is this going to be 4 for 4 once again?
Yeah, unfortunately, yeah. I wish I could, pick the other side here. But I am going with CJ. But there's nothing about this fight, either guy in the matchup, that makes me want to rush to the betting window. I'm just going to pass on this fight. Not going to bet this fight. The striking defense, like you mentioned there, that's what really is kind of pushing me off CJ. CJ, when he crashes the pocket, he tends to leave his head like right off to the side, and he gets clipped a lot, dude. You saw it happen when he turned around and ran away for half like a minute. Yeah, dude, it's like, I mean, even what's his face? His opponent, I'm blanking his name right now. Fucking
Salvador.
Yeah, Salvador Vinicius. Even he, like, 14 finishes, 14 wins, like. That honestly might be a bad thing because like he hasn't really shown the ability to win a decision. Like he hasn't really shown, can he put on a pace for 15 minutes? Can he keep it up? Can he get on the head on the points? Can he control a guy and win the round that way? Like this dude's really just getting guys out of there really early. And I don't think he's going to do that to CJ here. We haven't mentioned the elevation yet, but I think this fight might actually have a little bit of an impact here. I do like Mike's under 2.5 because I can see someone gassing, especially Vinicius here. If he doesn't get that finish early, but not trying to rush to the betting window here. Give me Vergara. I'm gonna go second round finish. I'm just got a gut feeling that Vinicius is gonna gas after that first round at elevation. Just a hunch.
Absolutely. And Mike, you see what happens when you don't join the wife beater gang?
Is that why? I was like, what did I do?
I'm gonna assume
they're killing you today.
I'm gonna make the decision. That's why. Josie Q said, "What's happening?"
Yes.
Then?
There we go.
Mike,
If it's required, it's required. Jesus
all right,
Christ,
all right, Mr. Q.
It's 2023, Justy.
What is up, 2 cents? Man, go check out my guy.
The stream just went from 25 viewers to 50.
all sex appeal. All sex appeal. Go check out my guy, 2 cents. He did an awesome show with Aaron the Dog the other night as well on his channel. So, guys giving out great analysis as well. Hope all of your bets cash this week, my friend. And yeah, I'm 4 for 4 with you guys. I think I'm just torn between the over and under in this spot because, like some people pointed out, Vergara, not the best finisher. Salvador, seems to be decently durable and kind of elusive. But I think Effie nailed it with something we're going to talk about over and over again on this card. It's the elevation. I think is going to, make some fights go the distance and some fights go under. And I think this might be one of the ones that could aid in an under. Give me Vergara in 2 or 3 to get the job done. But once again, another consensus pick here. But we can move right along. So we're on Maverick. We're on Semelsberger. We're on Vergara. All right.
Patrick,
let's see if we can. What's up?
I'm going to set the over-under piss breaks at 3.5 for me. I'm going to be right back.
Yeah, man. He's already on a dozen Coronas, folks. So, man, he's keeping the camera on. Look, we get a little inside peek of the Hilton here.
He's going to make a wardrobe change.
What if we saw somebody just like walk through the door? Just walks in, sits down, starts recording.
Man, I respect. He dragged his whole ass microphone to the hotel. That's some dedication right there.
I don't want to blow the secret, but he sent me a picture of it. It's just like an ironing board with his laptop set up on. I said, I respect the grind, Effie. I respect the grind.
That's how it's done, bro. That's how it's done.
That's how it's done. But, man, we got a welterweight bout. The only debuting fighter on this card at UFC 291. We got Darius Flowers stepping in on short notice, making his UFC debut against Jake Matthews. So right away, we've got a very big experience disadvantage for Darius Flowers. Jake Matthews has been in the league since he was like 20 years old, going on, 8 or 9 years now in the league. having ups and downs, but overall, he's a pretty decent wrestler, pretty decent striker, and he does have a good gas tank to go all 3 rounds. Whereas Darius Flowers is a guy who's off the Dana White Contender Series as an underdog, got that slam TKO within like a minute or 2 of round 1. So he's a guy who on the regionals has shown pretty much like an early finishing potential. Very good boxing, though. Very good power. Legit one-punch knockout power from Flowers. But a guy where, again, the elevation comes in, and I think he's probably got like a round 1 knockout or bust type of way to win this fight. So, I mean, where the money line is at, we're looking at Darius Flowers has come down. He was like a plus 280, plus 250 underdog. Now he's plus 215. Jake Matthews still a sizable minus 250-ish favorite here. I got to go with the Matthews side just because I think he's got more ways to win this fight down the stretch. But I do have in a round robin a long shot on round 1 for Darius Flowers is plus 750 on Bovada. I think that's his only way to win this fight. So I'm calling a Matthews, 2 or 3 finish, but I can't ignore the fact that that's a very good prop in the round 1 for Flowers. What did you guys think about Flowers in the tape that you saw? I know, Mike, you were doing a lot of Contender Series stuff. When you researched him last year, were you impressed at all?
All right, so Flowers is very active on social media. He watches like every stream that involves fights of his. Yo, that shit sent me crying when he said he didn't watch.
There's a
that shit was
sync right there.
That shit was too funny.
I can definitely watch my hands. You should watch them before you take a piss. Honestly,
legit tears.
I respect Flowers. The dude, he's got the mindset. He loves this shit. He wants to do this shit, and he's began to take his career a lot more serious. His record looks the way it did. And he's spoken about this. It's because he didn't really care in the past. He's fought at heavyweight, apparently. He's fought at middleweight, welterweight. And he was supposed to fight at lightweight. I was super excited for his lightweight debut. I'm not as excited for him at welterweight. Look, I don't think he's as skilled as Matthews personally. And I think people are kind of getting overexcited. I don't think he's going to knock out Matthews. I wanted to think so. I did. But I don't think it's going to happen. I think people are kind of forcing it. I'm not tempted by the round 1 knockout with Flowers. I'm really not. He has power. He could upset Matthews here. I just don't think it's going to happen. And he's also coming in on short notice here. We're fighting at elevation. I think that at some point Matthews is going to finish him. I played the round 2 and round 3 finishes. I have the round 2 at plus 540, something like that. And I took round 3 at plus 1,000. I don't think we're going to get to round 3. I actually think it's going to end in round 2. But look, if Flowers wins and I lose my 0.45 units, whatever, I'll be happy. I'm a fan. I love the guy. We follow each other on Twitter. But personally, in this fight, I think he's a little bit outclassed. That's just how I feel.
No, I feel the same way. And yeah, Sean K. I remember last year before the Contender Series when people are doing breakdowns, he was in everybody's stream comments. He was like even hopping into channels and like doing video stuff, like the week of the fights too. Like just knowing that he was going to come through as a dog, and he certainly did. It was pretty funny the way he got that win too by slam TKO. Just to put like another like question mark in this guy's career, because it's like, sure, you got to give him credit for getting a slam TKO. He did the damage, but like how often out of the many slams we see in the UFC, how many end the fight? It's just very few and far between. But Effie, if Jake Matthews does win this down the stretch, what's the method do you see, or do you see this going to the scorecards?
I love that round 2 bet there by Couch. I think he finishes this in the second round. I think it's going to be a knockout once Flowers tends to fade here with his output, and just really his gas in general at elevation is going to be a big time factor here. I think on short notice is another big factor. But skill set wise, I think that even if it was a regular scheduled fight, Matthews would be the rightful favorite. Just a little bit better ahead everywhere except for the power here. But it is a big red flag, dude. He got dropped like 8,000 times against Semelsberger. Dude, he's getting rocked all over the cage. Not a good look. So I think that's why I'm a little bit hesitant to either parlay him or bet him. I didn't touch this fight. I figured a lot of people would be betting Matthews here. I was kind of surprised to see the line move the other way, but I'm not going to touch the dog here in Flowers. I respect that underdog shot you took on the knockout. I'm passing. I'm going to go ahead and get round 2 Matthews knockout.
Yeah, I've got a very small play in that just because Matthews has been kind of, and that did actually sway me a bit with seeing him get dropped by Semelsberger so much. Yeah. I'm telling you, Wizz, do you agree that Flowers has that crazy knockout power early?
Here's the thing. When you look at the line for this fight, as of right now in BetOnline, Matthews is minus 256. And you go back to how much support Matthews had last fight against Semelsberger when he was at a minus 300.
Same line pretty much.
70. So are you really comparing apples to apples here when it comes to Darius Flowers and Matthew Semelsberger? And that's with all due respect. You're fighting someone that's much more skilled in Semelsberger than Flowers. And again, I say that with the most respect. I do think that Matthews has Flowers covered everywhere here, from cardio to technical ability and the striking to the wrestling. And I think a sneaky look here is Matthews by submission. Darius Flowers does tend to shoot sloppy takedowns when he does get tired, and it's just evident in the tape. You could see it in multiple fights on the regional scene. And I think Matthews does have the grappling advantage here. And after this fight goes the first round, if it does, then I think that is super live. You're going to see the sloppy takedown entries. And as long as Matthews has himself positioned in the right way, he can snatch up a front choke, whether it's a Darce, whether it's an Anaconda or a guillotine, a plain old guillotine. I think that's probably how this fight ends. And then you can also hedge on that round 1 KO for Flowers. I personally am doing the inside the distance on Matthews, the sub, and I'm probably going to hedge out with that round 1 knockout. Just cover myself from all possible outcomes here, because I don't see Flowers' gas tank holding up after round 1.
No, you saw that Bobby Volker fight a couple of years back. I know it's been a little while, and Flowers does seem to have he had a renaissance last year where he had 3 weeks in a row where he had fights every single week, won all of them by stoppage, went to the Contender Series a couple months later, got the job done there. He is hungry, dude. He's a hungry boy. And he's got a long amateur career. I think he went 1-10 in pro boxing too, with a bunch of knockout losses, but it was years ago. It's an interesting fight. I'm with Matthews with you guys, but it's almost like a Jordan Wright type of bet where it's like you gotta play the one way the guy's gonna win, round 1 knockout. CT does have a good point though. I have seen Flowers, get some good takedowns, some good slams. Like Wizz says, he does see some holes in the accuracy of those, and possibly getting that submission when he gets tired later on against him. So I'm with you guys there. Can't believe how much we're on the same side for the prelims, dude. This is crazy.
Yeah, it was a shoulder injury with the slam too. He was in, I believe it was a deep submission. I didn't end up watching that Contender Series fight just because it really wasn't relevant. You can't really count that outcome for 5% maybe. Yeah. But it was a shoulder injury. I remember a lot of people were on. What was his last name? Let me see this.
Gogoladze.
Yeah, Gogoladze.
I personally was on Gogoladze in that fight, but yeah, shit happens.
Yeah, if you look up his, I know the boxing record sites are not always accurate, but he does have, I think he had 2 wins in boxing. Now, one of them was a 1-punch knockout against the guy, but that got overturned to no contest due to a drug test issue, which he's also coming off another drug test issue, but I wouldn't put much stock into that. It was a really shitty compound. So I don't think that was really helping him out anyways, but they did pop him for 6 months, right? That's why we haven't seen Flowers. So
I love Patrick, because someone will get caught for PEDs and oh, that's pussy shit. He was taking pussy shit, or oh damn, that's serious. He was really juiced up to the gills. Where most of the time Patrick's that guy's a bum. What an idiot. It's kind of funny.
The thing is when fighters have such an athletic prime that is so small, they can't really pick and choose to see what's going to be the best thing to get an edge. If you hear another camp is doing something, another fighter's doing something, you have to do it too, and you can't really pick and choose what's the best thing to do because your window is so small. So, but somebody like me, I work in the industry. I kind of know what compounds are going to do what. So it's fun to pick apart and be that's a really shitty compound. That wasn't really helping you out more than a placebo. But either way,
Pat's out here testing out every compound on himself to see if fighters are pussy or not.
It's my job in the lab all day is just injecting myself.
Me and Pat were breaking down all the compounds that the PFL fighters popped for.
Oh my god!
9. Okay, what is it?
Sean, I only saw a couple of them, but I saw it on YouTube.
Mm-hmm. Sean, it's not going to help you much. They're old. Flowers has come a long way. He's spoken about it in his interviews. He didn't take the shit serious, and that's why I think he should be a lightweight, because he can hang there, but I wouldn't put too much stock in those boxing fights.
I was telling Monk this the other day. I'm like, this is why the tape study takes so long. I never sleep because like I'll fall into a rabbit hole of watching like some guy's boxing career making his debut in the UFC. Just totally irrelevant, but I can't help myself. But we move on to a middleweight bout. Roman Kopylov versus Claudio Ribeiro. I can't wait to see if we line up on this one. Between two strikers, the combat sambo Russian Roman Kopylov, who started his career in the UFC 0-2. Now he's on a 2-fight winning streak, both late finishes by knockout. He takes on the hard-hitting Brazilian Claudio Ribeiro, who righted the wrong of his failed debut by getting a knockout himself over ugly man Joe Holmes. Vicious TKO via ground and pound last time out. So I was pretty impressed by Ribeiro flipping the script in that fight, actually wrestling himself a bit, wearing down Joe Holmes in the clinch, taking him down, and then knocking him out in round 2. So it showed that he's more than just like a flashy haymaker knockout type of guy. I think he's very athletic. He seems like a fun character, almost like a jacked Johnny Walker, if you will, at middleweight here. Roman Kopylov, somebody I've never really been that impressed with, but you have to be impressed by his performances against like Punahele Soriano, how technical his striking looked. So both guys, I question their cardio in this matchup. The elevation, I don't think is going to help aid in any guy looking better here. So I think the money line should be a lot closer. So I had to take a 0.75 unit stab on Ribeiro. I got him at plus 210 on BetOnline. So I think it is like a late knockout potentially from Ribeiro as Kopylov slows down. But look, I'm not partial to a side on this one prediction-wise. It's just the money line I think should be a lot closer. So kind of a value play. Give me the jacked Johnny Walker to go, hey, get the job done the way he's always chanting. Doing that little sliding dance he does. I can't wait to see him do that at Salt Lake City. Hopefully that doesn't gas him out on his way to the ring. But Wizz, who do you like in this striking affair?
When you look at this fight, there's a couple of ways you could break it down. Obviously, elevation, and you look at the cardio of Ribeiro, and you see the fight against Abdulrazak Al-Hassan in his debut. Sure, could have been octagon jitters. Happens to a lot of fighters. And I don't rate Ribeiro's cardio too highly, but I'm not also saying that it's shit. I just think at elevation, it could get affected here. And the last fight, sure, he won, and as he was supposed to do against Joseph Holmes, someone who I don't believe belongs just yet in the UFC. He wore him down and he beat the brakes off of him in that second. And then you look at Kopylov, I just see a guy that's been making constant improvements fight after fight. And this camp, he's been training out of Dagestan, which should help the wrestling. I do like the striking of Kopylov a little bit more than I like Ribeiro's. Obviously, I think Ribeiro has the more power, but how do you beat hooks? When you're facing someone with wild hooks and that are looping, you go for straight shots. And when you look at Kopylov's arsenal, it's all straight shots, for the most part, at least. And I just think that this fight ends inside the distance. That's one. I think the under 2.5 is nice, or fight doesn't go if it's at a decent price. Let's see where it's at right now, because that's something that I've been interested in.
Minus 190 on the under 2.5.
Okay, minus 190. I mean, there's other ways you could target it, whether it's like fight ends by KO. That's one way.
It's your best bet.
Yeah, exactly. I personally think that it's Kopylov inside the distance in this spot. Minus 110 seems like a fair price for it, especially at elevation, going up against a guy in Claudio who shows that he can gas when pushed to the limits. So yeah, I think Kopylov wins this fight pretty comfortably.
Not bad. We talked about the improvements that Kopylov has made. Effie, were you impressed by the improvements that Ribeiro made, or do you think it's like Joe Holmes is the Shannon Ross of middleweight? You can't really count that as too much of an improvement there. How did you feel about Ribeiro's second performance in the cage?
I was impressed. I mean, I agree with Wiz. Holmes probably not UFC caliber, probably not UFC level at this point in his career. But yeah, I mean, he looked good. A big, physical, strong, super long guy. I was kind of shocked to see the tail of the tape here. I expected Ribeiro to be like a good 2, 3, 4 inches taller or longer, but they're pretty similar in size. But to me, this fight comes down to the leg kicks. Who's going to be able to win the leg kicks? Who's going to be able to check them better? And who's going to be able to counter straight here on those leg kicks? And I think that Kopylov is just going to have too much volume and too much variety in his volume. I think that he's going to have Ribeiro thinking way too much with the feints here. With even maybe he can mix in a couple level changes here. I got burned. I had Punahele Soriano in that last fight against Kopylov, and I mean, this dude looked like $1 million. So a little bit of recency bias here compared to what I last saw from him, but I do think that he's overall the better fighter, and the elevation is a little bit tricky here, which is why I stayed off this fight at minus 200, 225 around for Kopylov. It held steady all week. I was kind of waiting to see how it would go, and I would be super interested to see where the money is on like a casino, like how much volume they took on this fight. Because I don't think it's a lot. I think that this is a pretty 50-50 fight, and I do respect that your bet there, Patrick, because we're betting numbers, right? Like that number to you is off, so you took a bet. So that's a good strategy as far as betting. So I'm going with Kopylov. I think he does finish it in that second round, but it's going to be a good fight. I'm actually super, super excited to watch this fight in person.
Yeah, it's going to be a fun one, man. The high energy of Ribeiro. But I do agree. I think Kopylov is the better fighter technically, but I think the line is off. Mike, how would you line this fight?
I think Kopylov could be wider, honestly. In my opinion, this is a classic case of a forced underdog. And the way I spot forced underdogs is when you see people on Twitter playing an underdog and they feel the need to type essay after essay after essay after essay to back their underdog, like with Tucker Lutz last week or 2 weeks ago. This is what happens. It's forced underdogs, and I personally don't get it. Claudio Ribeiro's not good, in my opinion. I don't think he's good. He has big power, and that's, in my opinion, that's it. Like, I don't mean to be rude or disrespectful. I just don't think he's that good. Like, look. What is he going to do here? Is he going to wrestle? No, he's not going to out-wrestle Kopylov. It's just not going to happen. He's not at that caliber, and Kopylov is literally training that. He's in Dagestan for a reason. Is he going to outstrike him? Technique-wise, no. Output-wise, no. Power, it's possible. Never count it out. We're in MMA. It happens. I just don't think it's a likely outcome. I think that Kopylov is going to stay safe. I think Kopylov is going to piece him up, and I think Kopylov is going to finish him in the second or the third, and I'm pretty damn confident in that. I'm not seeing it. Like, I really wanted to. I got to the tape late, and the benefit of getting to the tape late is the benefit, and the downside is you already have all these voices in your head from Twitter, what other people are playing, right? And I'm seeing so many people on Ribeiro. I went through the same thing with Salvador, and I was like, okay, let me see what they're looking at. And I can't find it. I can't find it. Someone was pitching to me, it's the leg kicks. How are you going to win a whole ass fight with leg kicks? What are you, Justin Gaethje? No. It's not going to happen. He has to knock out Kopylov, and I think the odds of that are very, very small. So I have Kopylov in a parlay with Vergara. I got that at plus 150. I slapped a unit on it. And I have Kopylov in round 2 and round 3 by knockout. Look, we're at elevation. Both guys have had cardio problems. But if you ask me who's going to gas out harder at elevation here, I think it's going to be Ribeiro. I think Ribeiro is going to have a really difficult time with elevation. And I just think that Kopylov is going to run away with this personally. Like, look, Puna is a power striker, right? And he's an actual good fighter, a well-rounded fighter who can box, who can wrestle. And look what happened. Not every fight's the same. We go matchup to matchup, but that's what I'm seeing.
I like the conviction. Yeah, man, I don't think either fighter is all that good here, and I don't trust either of their cardios. I think this is going to devolve very quickly into a very slow-paced fight where they look like they're striking underwater, and I'm going to trust in the plus money side on this one, but I think I'm the only one out of the 4 of us here on that side. But,
sorry to come in so hot, Pat. I don't mean to hate on your bet.
I don't give a shit. This is all just we're playing roulette with people fighting with their shirts off here. It's all good for me. Like I said, I think Kopylov is the better fighter for sure. I just don't think either guy's that good. So I'll take the guy who's not good with the plus money tag on it. We'll see how it goes. But he's got a lot of muscle on him, man. He might gas out immediately after dancing his way to the cage. So might just fall right apart before my eyes.
Him and Michel Pereira are going to get lit in the back. In the back.
Exactly. They're going to put down that piece of cardboard and start doing breakdancing competitions on it.
I wish I could bet in Utah, because if they come out dancing, I'm like, oh, like start betting their opponent. Like you see them doing this ridiculous stuff.
Live bet Wonder Boy and Kopylov for sure. And yeah, Kopylov is the one that looks like Chase Hooper.
Chase Hooper's older brother. It's a family. Chase Hooper, Kopylov, and Askren.
That's the.
You just get shorter and fatter when you get older.
That's the first evolution.
All right, man. Speaking of the altitude potentially being a concern in the matchup, we have the heavyweight fight of the card. Derek Lewis taking on Marcos Rogerio de Lima. And man, there's been a lot of mixed opinions on this fight as well. Derek Lewis coming in as a sizable underdog against Marcos Rogerio de Lima, who's everybody's favorite this week, minus 235 on the money line of de Lima. Derek Lewis about to push plus 200 on Bet Online. He's around plus 180 on other books so far, which is such a fall from grace for Derek Lewis, who's not only got basically just mauled and subbed by Sergey Spivak recently, but he's also faced round 1 knockout losses to Sergey Pavlovich and tied to Ivasa. So, man, I don't know how much the elevation is going to help the cardio of either of these guys who are known to gas out very quickly into their fights. Obviously, power advantage for Derek Lewis in this one. You've got more leg kicking game from Marcos de Lima, a guy who's a fast starter in his own right and is known to have like a wrestling game plan against certain caliber of fighters like Maurice Green, people like that he can take down and hold down for all 3 rounds. I don't know if he gets it against Derek Lewis and holds him there, but I'd love to know WizzDoes. I'm sorry to dead name you there. Do you think Derek Lewis could get taken down and held down by Marcos de Lima? Is that going to be a route to victory for him?
I think this fight probably ends in the first round. No surprise. But when you break down both of these guys' games, you have Derek Lewis, who's mainly just a power counter striker, versus a guy in Rogerio de Lima, who, like you said, is a very fast starter in round 1. And when you're going up against someone like Derek Lewis, you have to be a fast starter. And that's exactly what we're getting. De Lima with the leg kicks. I really worry for Derek Lewis if he eats 4 to 5 of these leg kicks clean, because it's severely going to compromise his lead leg. And we all know that you need power from your power comes from your lead leg. If you cannot put pressure and put weight on that lead leg, then your power is completely negated. So if Rogerio de Lima is smart, he'll try and chew up that leg early, stay away from the striking game until that. And he can find takedowns. We know Derek Lewis's power get-up game, no skill, just all force and manpower. He's just like, I'm getting up now. So, I mean, he could very much not be able to keep Lewis down, but that's going to tax the gas tank of Lewis more than it's going to gas De Lima. So I think De Lima is the rightful favorite here. I got him at an earlier price at minus 160 here on the money line, and I have a pretty decently sized bet on him. So, yeah, I think De Lima wins this fight by knockout in round 1, ground and pound.
All right, I can't hate on that too much, man. Effie, I mean, it's always hard to cap Derek Lewis fights, a guy who has knockout power. I've seen it happen in round 1, 2, 3, even round 4. Do you believe in the Black Beast one more time to survive an early onslaught and land that knockout punch?
Hell no. Give me De Lima minus 181.8 units to win 1. My biggest moneyline bet of the night, and WizzBets nailed it there. I think the leg kicks are going to chop down Lewis big time early in this fight. And you just really immobilize him and, keep that movement pretty minimal here from Lewis. Dude, guys, Derek Lewis at elevation, like, I don't know what the matchmakers were thinking. Like, they were just probably like, all right, let's get the fans like an exciting fight, at least one, like, for sure knockout. But dude, like, his output is not going to be there. Like, if this goes to the 3rd round, like, I don't know if he'll throw a punch. De Lima, dude, I just love those leg kicks and the grappling upside. Yeah, I definitely understand that Lewis has that weird get up ability thing that he does where he just bench presses people off. But just the jiu-jitsu from De Lima here. I mean, I understand he's 38 years old. They're both old. But man, I just feel like Derek Lewis strikes me as someone that's collecting checks, man. He's going to make weight, going to get like 5-6 figures for making weight. And then he's going to be on his way, man. Going to get finished for the 10th time, tie a record in the UFC. I think that he's going to get finished in this fight. Give me De Lima minus 180, 1.8 units. This is my biggest bet moneyline wise on the entire card.
I like the confidence. Shady is on Lima at minus 130. Good line nice there. Bet. And, dude, I mean, yeah, I'm with Sean K a little bit. Like, is De Lima going to be okay in elevation? They might just stare at each other. And that's actually one of the ways that I can see that. Dude, what are the odds this plays out where it's like De Lima by decision in this spot? Just like an early onslaught, can't quite finish Derek Lewis in round 1, and then just has to kind of go through the motions and avoid that one punch every 30 seconds thrown by Lewis in 2 and 3. I saw De Lima by decision at plus 600. That went into a round robin of mine as well for just a small money play. The lottery ticket odds that this just evolves into 2 fat guys circling each other, the crowd booing, and them just sweating their balls off. Mike, where do you fall on this one?
All right, so the play I do have, I ended up doing it today after prop talk. I played De Lima by sub at plus 750, and I played De Lima by sub in round 2 at plus 3,200, which is insane in my opinion. Because at that point, like that line is that way because they think we're just not going to round 2. And honestly, like I'm tempted by Fight Goes at plus 400. We're in fucking Utah, right? We're at high altitude, whatever the hell it's called. Both guys, like Derek Lewis is low output, but also when did we just start like loving De Lima so hard? Who has he beaten that we should be so excited about? Maurice Green, Ben Rothwell. He lost to Blagoy, beats ancient Andre Arlovsky, who was 34-20 at the time, 34-20. Then he beats Waldo Acosta, who's just a boxer, and we all knew couldn't grapple for shit. So, and Derek Lewis, who's he losing to? Sergey Spivak, fantastic wrestler. Sergey Pavlovich, who would destroy De Lima. Who else we got here? Tai Tuivasa, and it was a pick'em for Tai Tuivasa in that fight. And in my opinion, Derek Lewis was winning that until he wasn't. So my gut has been screaming, Mike, plus 200 on Lewis is off. It's off. And there's no point in playing his KO either because there's no difference in price. The KO is like plus 210, and his money line is now plus 200. And he could win a decision. Someone said it. He's undefeated in decisions, which is a hilarious statistic. But I wouldn't be shocked. Look, I have the De Lima sub. I think he's probably going to win. I just think that, like, it doesn't really make sense to have him this wide. He's like minus 260 now or something. Like it doesn't make sense to me. De Lima's a blown up heavyweight. He was a light heavyweight forever. And now he's here having success against lower level competition. And now he's minus 260 against Derek Lewis. I have a gut feeling that Derek Lewis is going to remind everybody real quick what's up, but hopefully he doesn't. I hit that sub because, plus 3,200 is lit. I think De Lima will have a very significant grappling edge if he decides to use it. Derek Lewis does have a black belt and just get the fuck up. He's great at that. He probably invented it, but I think De Lima is going to sub him, and I think it happens in the second. So I'm trying to cash that stuff.
Dude, Mike just killed it.
What's the submission?
Plus 750 on the straight sub. Round 2 sub was plus 3,200, bro.
No, I meant what's the exact submission?
Rear naked, I think.
Rear naked choke.
Yeah.
Oh boy,
that's what I'm calling.
That is going to be a fun one, man. I hope it happens. I hope that hits. That is a crazy line. We got the Boolin Boys Sports Podcast, formerly known as the On the Line.
I love
podcast.
The new name. Love the new name.
Fits you guys. Awesome show. Everybody check them out. Give them a subscribe, man. They're creeping towards 1,000 subs, and can't wait to do another show with those guys. Yeah, I mean, I think we kind of covered that one pretty well. Lewis has that one punch knockout chance he's always had. Very hard to predict that that's going to hit here. And I think Wizz nailed it with the leg kicks of Marcos De Lima. Probably going to make him think twice about being an elevation in this matchup. And I think it's hilarious that they booked these two guys to be an elevation. Out of all the heavyweights they could have picked, hilarious. Do you think Lewis knew when he accepted it that like elevation even exists?
I think he knows exactly what he's doing here, man. I think he knows exactly what he's doing here. I'm telling you, I got that gut feeling. I'm going to lose my money because I think Lewis is going to fucking surprise us all.
Yeah, at the money line, dude, I think you're right that it's I don't know where all this De Lima love is.
Surprise us all with retirement.
I think De Lima
that wouldn't be a surprise, Wiz.
Just a terrible fighter. But one of the favorite bets I've ever cashed in mixed martial arts was De Lima against Maurice Green. Just like if you're trying to show a friend of yours what mixed martial arts is all about, that is not the fight. That's the opposite of what you want to show them. But if you're betting on a fighter to do one game plan and just lay on somebody to win, beautiful moment, dude. Just counted your money from round 1. But we're all on the same side of that one. Maybe in the back of our minds.
This one's going to be funny. Because I want to be there. I have money on De Lima, but if De Lima gets knocked out, everyone's gonna be like, "Yeah!" I'm gonna sit there like, like just sitting there like, "No!" Like, what the hell?
The worst is when you're live, and you've got a bet on a guy, and then the fucker next to you has an opposite bet, and you're just cheering. This happened to me in the Emmett Cater fight. I had Cater. Guy next to me has Emmett. We both have our girlfriends by us. We're both being belligerently hype. And then the fight ends. I'm like, all right, I got this. Fuck this guy next to me. And then he wins, and I'm just like,
it's tough.
And your girlfriend's just like, why do you do this? I thought you did this. I thought you did this on social media. I thought you were big time. What
I think
happened?
you were good.
What happened?
Are you
Look at that ass, bro.
I get that look all the time.
That's so funny. Well, I'll have my friends say to me like, "What? I thought Molly McCann was gonna win. What the hell?" I'm like, dude, I didn't tell you to bet that much. I'm fucking on her. What the fuck?
All right, man. Last prelim fight at welterweight, we got Trevin Giles taking on the undefeated younger Bonfim brother, Gabriel Bonfim, 14-0. This guy has he's still got all finishes, right? All 14 of these are inside the distance, most of them by submission. Very opportunistic submission fighter, but Trevin Giles has got some slick BJJ himself, coming off of a win by split decision over Preston Parsons, which was just a back and forth scramble fest on the mat. We got right now the one of the bigger favorites on this card, Gabriel Bonfim, minus 310 on the money line, on Bet Online, up to minus 350 on some other books. Trevin Giles about plus 250, the underdog. Yeah, I mean, it looks like a Bonfim spot here. He's, it's kind of agreed that he's the better Bonfim brother, but I'm not sure how many people are judging that off of his last, his brother getting finished by Benoit Saint-Denis. But obviously, Bonfim, I mean, his striking looks very good offensively. Defensively, there seems to be some holes. Like, I wonder if Trevin Giles does have a chance to land something big here. But I am leading personally on the Bonfim side, but I think the money line's a bit wide, I'd maybe put him around like minus 200 to minus 220-ish. To be fair, I don't see a lot of extra value on this money line for Bonfim, but I think it is like a club and sub situation he gets done here. Wizz, do you feel any certain way about this fight? Are you parlaying up Bonfim, or are you taking the underdog here?
No, I mean, I think the line is pretty much where it's supposed to be, personally. Bonfim is going to be the better striker, the better person on the mat, and the better wrestler, in my opinion. I just have trouble seeing how Giles gets this done. He's shown on the tape, at least, that he just struggles to put together the martials. And yeah, he's coming off of back-to-back wins, but when you look at the level of competition, I don't think they're anywhere near the level that Bonfim is. And I'm not trying to prop Bonfim up as some like elite level top 10 fighter, but when you're comparing him to Trevin Giles, with all due respect, I think Bonfim has him covered everywhere. And then you have the durability issues with Giles that concerns me even more. So when you look at guys that Giles has lost to, it's legit guys who have power. And I think Bonfim is legit. I think he does have power, and I think he can win this via knockout or by submission. So personally, I think this line is accurate. I wouldn't say wide nor value, but yeah, I think Bonfim gets this done in the round one.
Yeah, I mean, this is like one of the third hyped prospects that they've given Giles, right? They give him Dricus du Plessis, knocked him out. They gave him Michael Morales, undefeated prospect, knocked him out. Effie, do you think this is a third hyped prospect that knocks out Trevin Giles, or at least finishes him inside the distance?
Yeah, I do. I think that he subs him here in this fight. When I make my bets, I kind of actually like to fade people before I go and seek someone to back, and Giles made my list right away. I was like, all right, I'm gonna fade Giles here. I parlayed Bonfim with Maverick, just two giant chalky favorites here, but I think that he's gonna be able to club and slip him here, dude. The jab from Giles obviously is really good, but dude, I just think that Bonfim is just so calm and so calculated on the grappling, just really on the mat, off his back or offensively, to where I think that if he gets this on the mat, he's gonna be able to advance positions here. I think that even on the feet, he's going to stay safe. I really like the boxing from Bonfim. I'm pretty sure he has a ton of amateur experience boxing before the UFC, so as far as MMA, but I like his hands. His hands high. He returns his hands very clean out the pocket. He doesn't leave them low by his hips. He's sophisticated, dude. So when I know a guy is really good on the feet and he might have that death touch, and I really like his grappling, probably more so than his striking, give me Bonfim in a parlay, man. I really like that line, and I do agree with Wizz. A little bit more, it probably would be wide here. The guy's, unproven, you can say, in the UFC against Giles that has a higher level competition. But I think it's justified for sure.
I like it as a parlay piece. What's your combined odds on that Maverick Bonfim parlay? Do you know offhand?
Minus 134, but I got screwed on Maverick. I parlayed her when she was at minus 300, and she's minus 250 right now. So I could have got a little bit better price there, but I think they both finished their opponents. So minus 135. Actually, my biggest bet of the night, 2.02 units to win 1.5.
I like it. Sean K asking, saying Giles is a good resume. Are we overlooking him? Mike, I mean, we've got 100% finish rate in Bonfim. Trevin Giles finished in 100% of his losses. Could it really be that simple? Do we see a Bonfim finish here?
Yeah, I mean, is it going to be simple? Who knows? But like, I feel like Bonfim's probably going to get arrested for assaulting a police officer on Saturday. Look, here's the difference between Bonfim and Preston Parsons and Kosei, right? Two good wrestlers in Parsons and Kosei. Parsons had some success in the wrestling, right? Neither guy has the striking to properly set up their takedowns. Bonfim very much so has the striking to set up his takedowns because he doesn't have to force it, because he can be comfortable on his feet. He can bop you up on the feet, and then he can get his takedown. Then he can get his submission. He doesn't have to force it like Parsons did. For Parsons, it was do or die. He needed those takedowns, and he got them, but with not much success. Bonfim, he should get the takedowns. He'll have a lot more success on the ground than on the feet, but he's not going to have to dive for it. He's not going to have to just go for the takedowns. I've always said that Giles is underrated. I think Giles' striking is actually very good. I think his boxing is fantastic. His jab is great. He's got really nice straight strikes. The problem with him is that he doesn't use it. He doesn't do it. His output is very low. If he would just go and use that output, land 80, 90 significant strikes, I think he could be beating a lot of good guys, but he just doesn't do that. And I just think Bonfim has him completely outmatched. There's some questions with the cardio, right? You have Bonfim who's never gone to a decision, and now we're over here in elevation. How's that going to be? How is he going to be after round one, round two? Giles he's not a can by any means. He's not a bum. So it could be a harder fight for him, but I think Bonfim's got this. This is actually one of my biggest bets this year. The only bigger one was Cleeson Rodriguez versus Shannon Ross, for obvious reasons, but I snagged Bonfim at minus 260. I put 5.2 units on it to win 2, and I'm pretty happy with that bet. I think I killed the line. I think that line was way off. And could he get upset? Yeah, of course. But I think part of the reason people are hitting Giles is because of his brother losing, and it just one doesn't have anything to do with the other. So yeah, I like Bonfim a lot here.
Yeah, I'm not sure about a decent hedge play on Giles. He's a tricky guy. You know, sometimes his striking looks really underrated, the way that Mike was saying. I think his grappling defensively is underrated. That's why I picked him against Parsons, and I called it by split just because I thought it was going to be nice. Giles is like a cat. He's like very slippery, ends up on top sometimes, but the level of competition is different here. I think Bonfim is the real deal, like you guys are saying here. So I didn't do anything with this fight myself, but I think Bonfim is a pretty good parlay piece this week. We can move on to the main card, you guys. We have made it all the way to the final 5 fights. 28 people in the live chat. Hit the like, hit the subscribe. Make sure you guys check out the description. All of these guys' YouTubes and Twitters are in there as well. They all do awesome content. Of course, you guys have seen all of them on my channel before and will continue to see them in the future. I love talking fights with these guys, but we move on to a welterweight spot here. Opening up the pay-per-view card, Michael Chiesa taking on Kevin Holland at welterweight. Grappler versus striker matchup in some ways here is pretty much how you could break this down. Michael Chiesa has not been in the cage for a while. The last time we saw him, he did lose that decision to Sean Brady. In fact, the time before that, he had a grappling match early in round 1 against Vicente Luque. He got out-transitioned and lost there. So you got to go all the way back to his fight against Neil Magny for a victory on the Chiesa side. But I got to say, in this matchup where it's lined I just lost it. Minus 145 now for Kevin Holland, plus 125 for Michael Chiesa. Dude, I'm on the Chiesa side. I might be the only one. I haven't seen a lot of Chiesa love this week, but I might be biased because Kevin Holland is one of my least favorite fighters in the roster, but I've made a lot of money betting against him. Anytime he takes on a wrestler, he takes on a Brunson, I just pick Brunson decision, cash it big. They want to give us Vettori versus Holland, do the exact same strategy, call him by decision, cash it big. If he's finally facing somebody who's another like grappler type that has held down a guy like Neil Magny, who's not as dangerous as Kevin Holland, but same measurements. You just have Chiesa stick on the outside, close the distance, drag this guy to the mat and hold him there. He's very strong on top, and I think he could win a decision here, which is sitting around like I saw plus 380 on BetMGM, plus 325. I popped into a round robin. I think Chiesa gets it done. not crazy about putting a big amount of money behind him just because he hasn't been in the cage in a while. And I know Kevin Holland has got a huge striking advantage in this one, but I don't trust the resolve of Kevin Holland. The guy is proven to make boneheaded decisions time and time again. I don't think he handles adversity very well at all. So, Wizz, tell me why I'm wrong here. Why are you betting Kevin Holland by knockout?
So I'm not betting Kevin Holland by knockout, but I think you are wrong. With respect, you have the striking differential between Holland and Chiesa is huge. Just this difference in levels it's pretty wide. But then when you look at the grappling and wrestling differential between Holland and Chiesa, I don't think it's that wide. I do think that Holland can hold his own on the mat. And we've seen how like longer frames have done some trouble with Chiesa. He's not able to control these guys with the bigger frames. I mean, when he went up against Sean Brady, he wasn't able to keep the back control. A guy in Brady who has like a huge freaking like wide ass back and like a much bigger frame. It just seems like Chiesa gets overpowered by these longer and more physical guys. And I'm not saying Holland is the most physical person in the world, but he knows how to use his reach, which he's going to be at I believe it's 5.5 inches of reach advantage here. And the striking, anytime it's on the feet, I think it's Holland all day. If it hits the mat, I think Holland can hold his own and probably find some sweeps with the longer legs and longer arms. So I think Holland is the rightful favorite here, but I just cannot get to the window with him just because of the poor decisions that he tends to make out there in the octagon. He does tend to be a fighter that gets very frustrated at himself and start making like some very questionable, just like it's almost as if he throws the fight if he realizes that he's not winning and he's not getting the game, like his game plan is not being executed. So I just can't get to the window with him until he proves to me that that aspect of his game has improved and the IQ has gotten a little bit better. So I do think Holland wins here. I think the number is fantastic here, but I just can't bet it.
Effie, how are you playing this match? Do you have anything on this one?
I don't have any money on this, but I think Holland gets him out of there. I think Holland finishes this fight. And it's funny because Chiesa is the type of fighter that I would usually bet on, dude. The very big grappling upside here. As far as the wrestling, though, like the jiu-jitsu is, like Wizz said, close. It's 50-50 here. Holland is very active in his guard. Very good with those elbows from bottom and with the sweeps, and obviously with the submission attempts here. And that's the one area that Chiesa is going to be pushing the whole fight is the grappling, because there's no way in hell he's going to stand at range for extended minutes of this fight. Like absolutely no way. If you ever sparred anyone in your life, there makes no sense to continue the area you're worse than the other guy. Like he's going to be shooting, trying to get those hands locked, and I think that there's going to be a lot of hand fighting from Holland along the cage, trying to get those double underhooks, trying to get the head down from Chiesa. But I do see a world where Chiesa does get this fight down and controls him here for a little bit. Eventually, though, I think that finish comes from Holland, just more athletic, more explosive, more active than Chiesa. Chiesa has that, desk job he has with the UFC set up after he retires. Derek Lewis, Chiesa, a few other guys, if the fight doesn't go their way, Ferguson on this card, I think they can retire. So, man, I'm going with Holland here. Just the jiu-jitsu, I think that is good enough, slick enough, fast enough to not just get out-wrestled for 10 minutes, lose the decision 2-1, or even 3. So give me Kevin Holland. I think he sprawls and brawls and clips Chiesa, man. That striking, like Wiz said, like it's night and day here. At any moment in the fight, he's in danger of getting finished here on the feet. So give me Holland inside the distance, and I'm not betting it, but that's just the way I think the fight's going to go.
See Mr. JQ in the chat saying Holland by Darce is plus 3,000. I think we did see that against the club and sub over Tim Means, I believe it was. How do you feel about that, Mike? Is that something you take a stab on?
Nah, but I get it. I have the Lima by round 2 sub at plus 3,200, so I'll never hate at a plus 3,000 prop. But look, in terms of a pick, like I'm with you, Pat. I actually think Chiesa should win this. And like when I first saw the matchup announced and I saw the line, I was like, this is easy money. But then I taped it and it's like, I still feel like in hindsight, this is going to end up looking like easy money. I feel like it's just like it's a very favorable matchup to Chiesa, because if he just does what he's good at, he should dominate here. He really should. Kevin Holland to date still doesn't have good takedown defense. He just doesn't. It hasn't improved that much. He's still getting taken down by Tim Means. He's still getting taken down by Alex Cowboy Oliveira. His takedown defense isn't there. He has a good sub game. I personally don't think he's submitting Mike. I think if anything, he's going to knock him out. My problem was that what happens if Chiesa can't get those takedowns for some reason? And that's why I can't get to the money line, is that I don't want to be sitting there with the Chiesa ticket. He's not getting the takedowns. I know what's going to happen at that point. He's going to get fucked up. The striking is just, it's very wide. It's a big difference. And I feel that on the feet, it's Holland all day. On the ground, it's Chiesa all day. There's like a few ways to look at it, right? On the Chiesa side, you see him out-grappling great grapplers. I mean, he out-grappled RDA. Took him down 6 times. He out-grappled Neil Magny, a great grappler. But at the same time, who's really out-grappling Kevin Holland? Who's controlling him? Big middleweights. Derek Brunson, Vittori, guys who are very good grapplers at middleweight who are big and strong. And that's kind of my concern here is Chiesa going to have that ability to hold him down once he gets him down? Because I do think he gets him down pretty much every time he tries. It's just a matter of keeping him down. I really do think he wins, but I don't have the balls to put my money on it here just because I'd be too concerned if he's not getting those takedowns. That's when I'd start getting worried. And I really want to take the dog shot, but for now I'm staying off.
Yep. I mean, it's I'm glad you're at least with me on the side for this one. Again, I didn't put much investment on it, but I did take in a round robin that plus 325 Chiesa decision. You give me a guy who's going to stick to a game plan that fits right into the stark weakness of Kevin Holland, and I'll take that every time. Holland, I think, could get this. I think Holland should be a sizable favorite over most people because he's got a physique and just an athletic talent, 80-inch reach, 6'3". You know, at middleweight, that should be good, much less at welterweight. It should be amazing. But the guy can't get out of his own head. I don't think he handles adversity very well, the way that Wizz was saying. You know, the guy gets down on himself in between rounds. So if Michael Chiesa can peel him to the ground early and establish that strength in round one, I think Kevin Holland falls apart mentally. But if the opposite is true, Effie's correct, and, you know, Kevin can sprawl and brawl in round one, then I think he cruises to a victory here. But, yeah, we're split on this one. Me and Mike going against our guests to start off the pay-per-view, but we move right along to a very fun fight. The legendary Tony Ferguson taking on Bobby Green at lightweight. And this is one of the fights on the card that actually has some bad blood behind it too. You saw the press fight conference. The press conference, the pre-fight press conference is what I'm trying to say here. Bobby Green all blooded out and all red, and Tony Ferguson talking a little bit of shit on the mic, dude. Effie, you were there. What did you make of their interaction?
It was, dude, intense. So, the crowd, 1,000%, guys, is going to be on Tony Ferguson's side. It was crazy. He got the loudest pop, more than Gaethje, more than Dustin, more than Pereira. Anybody, Tony Ferguson had the crowd like going most exciting. But yeah, it was kind of weird to see the energy between those two guys. But that line is crazy, man. I'll be honest. Like, I just can't bet or even parlay Bobby Green at minus 325, minus 350 against someone like Tony Ferguson. Well, I get it, man. He's big and I mean, he's not washed. He's more than washed. He's dry. Like, he's dry now. Like, this dude is done. Like, he is gone. It's over. It's done. But guys, look up Bobby Green versus Shane Shapiro. Dude, my buddy submitted this dude in like 45 seconds. This dude cannot grapple. I think if this gets to the mat, he's in big time danger here. Tony Ferguson via submission, dude. Like, I've already am in Utah, so I have to like call my brother to put a bet in for me in Nevada. But like, I might sprinkle on that, dude. Like, this is crazy. Like, I mean, when did Bobby Green just become like a top 5 fighter? Like, what's going on? He was getting rocked by Jerry Gordon last fight. I can't justify that line of parlaying it, but give me Bobby Green. I'm picking Bobby Green, but I'd have a bad feeling, dude, back of my neck that Tony's going to get this. I
mean, Bobby Green, we talked about, at least I did. I talked a lot of shit about Kevin Holland's decision making. Bobby Green can be sort of just as guilty as, kind of fighting below the level of where his money line is at, kind of showboating his way down to the level of his competition, keeping his hands down, stalking forward, But that's also kind of how Tony Ferguson fights in a way, right? Like, he's constantly switching stances, feinting, baiting people in, and enduring a lot of damage before he takes over in the fight. But I'm with you, Effie. I think Tony Ferguson is far past his prime, far, far, far past it. On a streak of, 5 straight losses now? Wizz, do you think we see a return to the Tony Ferguson ways, and can he get that submission Effie was talking about?
Yeah, we talked about this a little bit before the show started. I do think that this line is kind of wide at where it's at right now, -400 Bobby Green. Like imagine parlaying that up. It's very hard for me to comprehend how you could even find the reasoning to even put him in a parlay. I do think Bobby Green wins. I do think he probably wins this inside the distance. Tony's reaction speed has gone down significantly. I mean, you can see it against Nate Diaz, who also is a slower striker and still landing on him. I just have to side with Bobby Green here. He's going to be the fresher fighter, even though he's not the youngest chicken in the farm, 36 years old himself. So I think Bobby Green wins it, but I do have that hedge on Tony Ferguson sub at plus 1100. Personally, just for a little bit. I got the Bobby Green line once it opened. I caught it at -105, hit it for the limit, which was 2.65 units at the time. So I'm happy with the position there, but had to hedge out some.
I mean, this is a good question from Mimi. What is up? What would this line be before that Gaethje fight? So we're going back 5 whole fights ago.
I feel like it's not a good question because that was 3 years ago.
Why is that not a good question? It's just a hypothetical.
3 years?
Well, because it was 3 years ago, like.
Yeah, what would this line be 3 years ago? What if they popped Bobby Green in there before the Gaethje fight? It was
okay. Fair enough, I guess. Fair enough. I just feel like it doesn't make sense. Like it was a long time.
You want to have some fun, Mike? Do you want to have some fun?
I'm very aggressive today. I don't know what.
Why are you?
It's the White Claws, dude. These make you kind of aggressive.
Yeah, Pop's drinking angry juice again. Mike, what do you feel about this one? The last time we saw a washed-up individual face Bobby Green and Ally Quinta, he got knocked out in round 1. Do you see that same fate for Tony Ferguson after that pitiful fight against Nate Diaz?
Okay, first off, look, we all love this sport, and I don't think any of us really thinks it's rigged, but, Tony Ferguson gets submitted by Nate Diaz with 2 minutes and 9 seconds left. 2:09. Nate Diaz's famous number. Tony doesn't even try to fight the sub. Instant tap. You're telling me that's a normal occurrence and just a coincidence that it was that time? Come on, bro. Come on. And I don't think this sport is ever fixed, but to me, that was sus. That was very sus. That said, this fight, I thought I like that Effie brought up the sub. I think that's actually an interesting way to look at it because Tony does still have his jiu-jitsu. You could be washed, but BJJ is not going to go anywhere just because you're washed. Mm-hmm. So if Bobby Green, for some reason, is grappling him, yeah, that's live. And I considered it myself. Personally, I think that Bobby's going to piece him up. Look at the Fiziev fight, right? I mean, the volume, the pressure, and the technique itself is there. Like everything is straight, down the pipe, fast. Bobby's just doing it good. So I really feel like he should win. What I did was I do have Bobby parlayed. It was -300 if that helps you guys with Matt Semelsberger for a unit. And I actually took Bobby round 3 or by decision. The line was -115. If you have we have Bet Rivers here in New York too, but it's weird. They don't give us certain bets. If you have Bet Rivers where you guys are at, you can get it at +105, that Bobby Green round 3 or decision. But even at -115, I thought it was a pretty good spot. I took it for 0.6 units to win back like a half unit. I just feel like Bobby's going to win. And I think that if he does get a finish, it'll be late. And if not, he gets that decision. So I really like that prop. It's a nice way to cut down the price. Could he Quinta him? Maybe. But Ferguson's not a real estate agent, so probably won't fall down that fast.
Yeah, I'm with you guys. I see Mr. Q talking about, was Tony a fall off USADA? Well, he actually reached his prime when USADA came into play in 2015. That's when Tony Ferguson started finishing everybody. So yeah, somehow he benefited from USADA being enacted. But yeah, I'm with you guys. I mean, look, I hope Tony. I'm a big fan of Tony Ferguson. His fight style was super fun. The way he hyped up fights on his road to trying to fight Khabib was a lot of fun. But yeah, after that last fight with Nate Diaz, I think we saw the swan song of Tony Ferguson in round 1 against Michael Chandler, and then it got kicked out of his system right after round 2 began. So I'm not too hopeful. I think Bobby Green could get this done inside the distance. I think he's fired up after not getting that win bonus against what's his face, Jared Gordon last time out. So I think he wants to get that back, and I think he puts on a statement here and it's going to be a sad night for Tony Ferguson fans like myself. But hey, that's the game we play, man. It's brutal. You go in on a 12-fight winning streak in the division, and you end on a 6-fight losing streak. So I don't know. Does he have any fights after this? Like, say he loses this fight, does he have any fights left in the UFC? Anybody know where his contract is at?
No. I have no clue.
I can see them using him though. They were going to use him against Chimaev and Nate. Like, they have no problem using guys big time to catapult up and coming guys. But Sean asked a really good question here in the chat. Like, who is he training with? I kind of thought that for like his whole career. Like, who is he training with? Like, he
does his own thing.
Exactly. So like, it's kind of weird.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I still have to watch all of the embedded stuff too. I haven't gotten around to doing that yet.
You know the saddest part of this whole fight? There was a poor intern at DraftKings who didn't know what he was doing and opened up Bobby Green at plus 135 and got instantly fired without even knowing what happened. Yeah, right. The poor guy didn't know. And now he's gone. He's on the streets asking for money because he opened up Bobby Green at plus 135 against Tony Ferguson in 2023.
I'm surprised no one mentioned the DUI. Like, he got a DUI like 2 months ago. Like,
I didn't even know that.
For this, he
was that recently?
Dude. Yeah, like he flipped it in May. Like, this fight was booked. He was in camp and he flipped his truck. Like, what are we doing?
Dude, he's just blown off some steam.
Hey, it happens.
Well, yeah, look at this. In the early hours of May 7th, Ferguson was arrested in California, driving under the influence, allegedly crashed his pickup truck into 2 other vehicles outside of a nightclub, causing his truck to roll over in the process.
It's all allegedly.
Yeah.
It is until proven guilty, Patrick. Come on.
It was part of his training. He was just trying to see how hard, like how strong he is. If he could take the impact.
No broken bones.
Yeah, probably not a good sign.
Bobby Green better be careful. Be scared.
Dude, do you remember the Gaethje fight for Tony? That was supposed to be Habib. In that camp, Tony's wife like put a restraining order on him because how crazy he was.
Yeah.
Yo, I like that comment by Alex.
What's up? Doesn't Tony do crack? I mean, probably. He kind of acts like it. I wish he would have went to the press conference with his gloves on and the baseball he carried during the Khabib conference.
I was pissed when
can't believe that was ever like a thing that people considered, like Ferguson Habib. It's so crazy to me. Like, was that ever going to be competitive even before Tony was washed?
No. Prime Tony would have killed him.
I was all over Habib in that fight.
It was never going to happen.
No. Well, Khabib got scared.
Damn freaking cord that he tripped over.
Yo, how do you trip over a cord?
Dude, every time I see like someone like Molly McCann get a knockout, jump the cage, and run around, I'm like, how the fuck are they not tripping on cords? Like, how did Tony get? Like, what happened? Like, oh my god, I'm so.
You guys remember when Tony was supposed to fight the Leech?
And I had 5 units on the leash.
They were doing like the M stuff, and Tony was like walking around where there were wires, and the Leech is like, he's like, yo.
It's so funny. I tried to get some like intel from Tony when I saw him. He was in the corner of one of the boxers here at the casino during the last Callum Walsh fight, and I'm talking to him, and like he wouldn't say anything. He's like, "It's going good. Camp is going good." I'm like, "What do you think? Like, what's your game plan?" Just go in there and do my best. I'm like, all right, cool, whatever.
You see the interview where he refused to turn his camera on?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't see that.
I only heard about it, but apparently there was an interview this week where the guy, I think it was Alex Behunin or
Aaron Bronstetter,
mixed it up, but he just wouldn't turn on his camera.
Yeah.
What the fuck?
He said, just record it. I don't like to be on camera, like just audio.
Like, first he gave a bunch of excuses, and then the more they questioned him, he was just like, I just don't want to.
Probably laid up in his hotel room.
Gotta love characters like this in the sport, man.
It is kind of weird. He was booked at 170 for Leach, and then now he's back at 155, right? Like,
yeah,
it's a little weird.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see the scales in the morning, see where these fighters end up, especially the ones that are switching back down a weight class after being at 170 last time. See if Ferguson comes into shape.
It's because Leach has a fight booked already.
Who's he fighting?
I don't even remember who is he fighting.
Yeah, I'm so pissed.
I'll type it up in the private chat. I really can't.
There you go.
Oh, it's out here breaking news.
Yeah. Let me get ahead on that tape study.
Oh, no way.
Here, hold on.
Yeah, they're finalizing papers.
Oh wow. Max bet season.
Yeah, I know which way I'm going.
Yep. But
All right.
It was
We move-
either going to be Leach or D-Rod,
Wait,
and
wait a
D-Rod just
second.
got his fight announced today.
Wait, this is real?
Yeah.
That's odd. That's a really odd one right there.
Yeah,
Well-
it was either going to be D-Rod or Leach.
Dude, leak that on Twitter. Just leak it.
Once
right.
I get the go-ahead, I will.
All right, we're all on the same side of this one, but we can move on to welterweight. Stephen Wonderboy Thompson takes on Michel Pereira. Got an old versus young striker's delight potentially in this matchup. Of course, one of the best karate fighters to do it since Lyoto Machida. We got Wonderboy Thompson rocking the 40 years of age in this matchup, taking on the shockingly young Michel Pereira, who's still only 28 years old, despite looking a solid 10 years older than that. Man, Mike, start this one off. Who do you see getting the better of the striking exchanges? Is it going to be Stephen Thompson with his crafty output, volume striking, cardio, or is it going to be Michel Pereira's unorthodox power striking and potentially some wrestling getting the job done?
I think this is going to be a really funky fight. I would have had no money on it, but I got Pereira at a plus 189, I think, which is a pretty good line compared to where we're at now. I just felt that was a little bit off. You know, I do think Thompson is a better striker by a margin, at range at least, you know. But Pereira's 29, dude. He's 29 years old, which is insane because he looks like 38. And then you look at his record and you're like, all right, yeah, this dude's 47. But no, he's 29 years old. It's weird. I wouldn't bet him where he is now because you're banking on his wrestling and he's been getting takedowns, right? And Wonder Boy got taken down by Kevin Holland, and the only reason he didn't lose more time on the ground was because Kevin Holland's a fucking idiot and said, let's go back and strike, which Pereira won't do. But the thing is with Pereira is he's not holding anyone down. He's getting the takedowns, but you look at the numbers, he's not getting more than 2 minutes of control time at all. So it's weird. He'll have a grappling edge to an extent. And then on the feet, it's Thompson all day at range. But if Pereira can crash that pocket, he's got big power. He's a good striker too. And he's come a long way. He's gone from this like crazy, exciting fighter where you'd only bet him inside the distance to a guy who can go all 15 minutes, who can pull off a decision win. And not just one, several at this point. I just feel like we're looking at one fighter who's on his way down. He's 40 fucking years old. Let's be real here. And the other guy's 29 and he's still improving. We're still seeing it. So I like Pereira here. I just, at this line, I would stay off personally. I wouldn't bet Wonder Boy and I wouldn't bet Pereira either. I would just stay off at this line.
I was considering putting down a money line bet on Wonderboy Thompson, and for all the reasons you mentioned, I have not been on it yet. I was waiting for it to possibly dip right below minus 150, and then maybe I was going to get to it, but I was hoping one of you guys would talk me on to some more action. Mike has failed to do that. He's keeping me off of it. Effie, are you going to talk me on to a Wonderboy Thompson bet here?
Well, I'm on Wonderboy, so I have 1.5 units on Wonderboy at minus 170. Missed the line. I got a bad line. It happens, and it's funny, man, because I've been, hand up, not trying to be that guy, but I'm on a little bit of a run, trying to make it 6 winning weeks out of 7. And what
Nice.
I've been doing recently is like I've been going just with my gut. Like I watch tape, I do my study. At the end of the day, you gotta go with your gut, right? And I'm actually going against my gut here, and I'm going with my head and my eyeballs. My head and my eyeballs tell me that Stephen Wonderboy Thompson should win this fight, but my gut tells me that I have a bad feeling Michelle's going to pull the upset here. I've seen Michelle in the gym. There is no way in hell this guy's 29 years old. I'm 29 years old. This dude is at least 35. Like, there's no way, guys. He has the same coach as Chris Cyborg, and they come all the time into my gym, and the one thing that is so funny about Michelle is that he's always on the treadmill and everyone wants to bring up his cardio, but he's at least working. Like he's trying to, I see him on the treadmill, like literally doing sprints on the treadmill. It's so funny. But this guy is enormous, guys. When this fight happens, like when this fight starts, dude, you guys are going to be shocked at how big Michelle is going to look. This guy looks huge. I won't even be surprised if he misses weight. But as far as the skill set, dude, obviously Wonderboy is probably one of the most sophisticated strikers in the UFC. And I had to go with the money line, man. The more we get closer to the fight, this is probably the bet where I'm like, oh man, I don't know, I'm getting a bad feeling in my gut, but I think Wonderboy wins this fight, and I will be interested to see the elevation here affect Michelle. I've seen him fade in fights at sea level in Vegas, so I don't know about in Utah. So give me Wonderboy Thompson 1.5 or minus 170 for 1.5 units.
If you see him dancing on his way to the cage, Effie, then you're gonna be like, okay, I'm lit.
Right. Right. I see Jesse Q saying the under 102.5 significant strikes in autoplay for Thompson. He's never quite reached. I think he's reached it maybe one time in a 3-round fight. I think that was Luque, but otherwise he's been facing guys.
Where is that? Is that on Bet Online? Because
I like that a lot. Yeah,
I'm gonna smack that under.
Yep.
I'm not sure, but yeah, that's for a 3-round fight against another striker. That's probably not going to surpass that. You know, he's been in a lot of 4 and 5 rounders, and that's when he's racking up these giant numbers. Wizz, how are you feeling about this striker's delight? Are you going to trust in the improvements of Michel Pereira, the more toned down, measured version of this Cachoeira striker?
So if you look at the striking base for both guys, it's karate, but Michel Pereira does mix in that Cachoeira, which adds that little element of surprise. And against a fighter like Thompson, I don't see that happening. Like, I don't see him finding success with the Capoeira all that much, but I think he can hold Thompson down. I know Pereira hasn't been able to do it in the past, but against a guy like Thompson, whose get-up game isn't really one that I like personally, and we've seen him get held down by a lot of different kinds of guys, whether it's high-level grapplers or high-level wrestlers. I think Pereira can get the wrestling going and get the top time, but do I really want to trust Michel Pereira in elevation is the question. I just couldn't get to the window for that reason. I know he's been out there for the past 2 weeks getting acclimated, but I mean, we see this time and time again. Fighters like, oh yeah, I came here 2 weeks ago to get acclimated. I feel great. The altitude isn't affecting me at all. But you can't really test that theory, and you can't really test that cardio until not in the gym, until you get into the actual fight, because in the gym, you can only do so much to predict what's going to happen in the fight. That cardio isn't something that you can measure in the gym, because you're not having someone go at you with 100% of their effort and their strength in the gym rather than in the fight. So I think that Pereira has a good shot of winning this. I think the line is pretty sharp and accurate at this spot. So I'm staying away personally. For those who are asking about that over-under 1 or 2.5 significant strikes, whether it's Prize Picks or Bet Online or wherever you could find it, it doesn't look like Thompson is going. I mean, against Luque in a 3-round fight, he hit 138. But then when you look at the rest of his fights, he has not eclipsed 100 unless it's a 5-round fight, which this is a 3-rounder. So I like in a decision loss against Bilal, that we can't really count that. That was 19 strikes total in 3 rounds, but he was getting wrestled the whole time. Against Burns, it was 19 in 3 rounds, also getting wrestled. And a stand-up fight with Luque, he hit it at 138. Against Anthony Pettis, another stand-up fight, but knocked him out in the second round, 47. So it's like he doesn't really eclipse it if it's not a 5-round fight, except if your name is Vicente Luque.
Dude, there's so many good points being made in the chat right now. I can't even really get to all of them. My guy 2 cents, better striker on paper for Wonder Boy. Definitely agree. But it's like, at what point are these young athletic guys going to kind of surpass him at 40 years old? Daz liking Pereira at plus money. My guy Dev in the chat, MMA Jesus, what is up? Saying Wonder Boy via KO. That would be great. I kind of lean Wonder Boy decision myself, but then Anthony W saying he's getting Pettis Superman punch vibes in this fight, which is the only knockout loss we've seen from Wonder Boy's career. So, yeah, I mean, I'm kind of all over these. I'm going to be like my guy CouchWarrior and just stay off of this from a moneyline perspective now. You guys have all kind of made me. Effie put me onto that money line. Mike talked me back off. I ended up right where I began when I started breaking down this fight with you guys. Like he said, Mike, I mean, Pereira, if he went for a wrestling heavy game plan, he's never really been successful. Like, he did it against Fiallo. He did it against who else? Nico Price, and against Chaos Williams, but never holding them down for a very much substantial amount of time. My guy, the Boolin Boys Sports Podcast, saying, and this is what I worry about, if he starts wrestling instead of striking, is he just going to waste time and gas himself out? I could see that happening as well. So I'm going to go with Wonder Boy Thompson. I think he's the better fighter here. Still not really regressing too much at 40 years old, and I worry about the cardio of Pereira as well. But no bet on this fight for me. I do like that plus 150 Thompson decision prop if I had to choose one. So we can move along to the co-main event of the evening. We got Jan Blachowicz, the former light heavyweight champion, taking on the former middleweight champion, Alex Pereira, at 205. Awesome fight, and it's become even more important now that we have the news that Jamal Hill has been relinquishing his belt for the injury. So which of these guys wins probably is going to face Yuri Prochazka next, I would imagine, is the order of things. But Jan Blachowicz, he fought a fellow kickboxer in Israel Adesanya a couple of years ago, managed to defeat him using some pretty strong striking, some good defense, and then wrestling from rounds 3 through 5 in that fight. This is a 3-round fight, so against Alex Pereira, a very powerful kickboxer with a ton of experience, even at this weight class pre-UFC. Effie, do you think that Jan Blachowicz is going to adjust that game he used against Israel Adesanya, but now in a 3-round fight wrestle early, or do you think this stays striking for all 3 rounds? Where do you lean on this one?
Scared money don't make money. 1.10 units on Jan Blachowicz, dude. I got Jan Blachowicz in this fight, dude. No, I don't think that he's going to use that same grappling or same game plan, I guess you could say, against Alex as he did Izzy, because I think that he's fine. I think he's fine on the feet. I think that if he goes full Sean Strickland mode, he won't get knocked out. I don't think he's going to get knocked out like Sean Strickland. I think that it's going to be one quick exchange, and he's going to realize, oh, no, I can't stand here. I need a level change immediately. Push this guy on the nothing cage. And I've just seen Bruno Silva, dude, and Adesanya get way too deep on takedown attempts on Pereira, to where I think that I get it. Like Blachowicz, 3 takedowns last 9 fights, like they're all against the same person that he outweighed by 20 pounds. But there's just no way. There's just no way you go into this fight and at least don't try. So I think there's a huge upside here for Blachowicz. I understand he's 40 years old, but like I said, man, scared money don't make money, and I gotta go with my gut. I'm going with my gut. Jan Blachowicz. I think that he's gonna be able to get him down and really expose him here. Really, really bad.
I like it. I don't hate the logic there. Jimmy the Drunk saying winner gets winner of Yuri Ankalaev. Is that lined up, or are they just leaving Ankalaev in the dust?
Is that even a fight, or did you just make that up, Jimmy?
Ankalaev
it
is
makes
fighting
sense. I would like
W card.
I think Jimmy's drunk.
Okay. Gotcha.
That's funny.
Just from like all of the betting action, all the content, like week to week, like I fall behind on the actual future matchups and like all the MMA news. So when people say these things, I believe it, because I don't really watch. I don't watch all the future news as much as I should. That's like last compared to the fights of the week. But yeah, I mean, poor Ankalaev, dude. He had a very close draw last December, and now he's just been left behind. We'll see what happens to him. But Wizz, who do you like in this matchup? Right now, the money line is pretty much a pick 'em price tag across a lot of books, minus 110 a piece. Which side do you lean on this weekend?
Yeah, I mean, this fight, you can break it down in multiple different ways, but it's just the stand-up is going to be all Alex, in my opinion. And then if Jan screws on his head right and he wants to win this fight, he's going to go and attempt a lot of takedowns. We saw Jan be able to land the takedowns on Adesanya, but there's a difference. Adesanya weighed in at 193 on weigh-in days. Alex Pereira is going to weigh in at 205, and he's not going to stay at 205 at fight day. I guarantee you that. Adesanya probably fought Jan at 194, and Pereira is probably going to go up there to like 225, 230 at most. So it's two different types of fights here when you look at the weight class, in a sense. Because you're fighting someone that's about 11 pounds who's a lot lighter than you, it's going to be a lot easier to take them down. But with all due seriousness, I think this weight class is more suitable for Alex. I think the strength from 185 going up to 205 is going to be huge. He's going to gain a lot of strength with the extra 20 pounds, and I think he's going to be able to negate some of these takedowns. And then on the feet, as I mentioned, I think it's not close at all. When you have a high-level kickboxer go up against someone who's more of like a bruiser. Back in his day, he used to knock out a lot of people. I do credit Jan for that, but at 40 years old, I don't foresee him being able to absorb as much damage as he used to be able to. And I think Alex probably wins this via second round left hook.
Yeah, man, I'm on the same side as you, man. I think it's a Pereira win here, but I'm not really that convicted to his side to put money behind it because there's so many question marks. Like I said, it's Blachowicz. Is he going to wrestle? At what point will he wrestle? Are there going to be defensive improvements made from Pereira with working with Glover, working on that hole in his game? Is he going to be stronger at 205? You know, he's native to this weight class in his career. He fought at 209 pounds in Glory. Is that going to help his durability? Is that going to help his power even more in this fight? I'm going to have to agree with yes. But Mike, how do you see this one playing out? Do you have any bets on this fight in the co-main event?
Yeah, I've got quite a bit to say about this one. I don't have anything yet. I'm waiting to see what happens, because if this line flips, I'm going to be on Jan 100%. He should not be an underdog. I think Pick'em is pretty much accurate, but if you give me plus 100, plus 105 on Jan, I'm going to be on there for a unit. Look, this fight is so good for a reason, because you can break this down so many different ways. On the Blachowicz side, right? He has the grappling, right? He doesn't really wrestle, doesn't really use it. He did use it against Izzy when he knew he needed to. Can he do it? More than likely, yes. Alex has not shown too much improvements in the takedown defense. I know people keep saying he's with Glover. He's with Glover. He's been with Glover this whole fucking time. He still got taken down by Andreas Michailidis. He still got taken down twice by Bruno Silva. He still got taken down by Israel Adesanya. So Glover Teixeira is not fixing anything. I'm sorry. He's 7-2 as a pro because he's early in his career as a mixed martial artist, but he's 36 years old. He's not a spring chicken. So Jan could take him down. Jan could find a lot of success on the ground. And even if he doesn't, he did successfully kickbox against Izzy. He did strike with Izzy, and he outstruck him at distance, if I'm not mistaken. So he's not going to be completely out of place, right? That's my pitch with Jan. Now, on the other side, though, there's a whole nother pitch, right? Alex is not Izzy. Alex is much bigger. Like Wizz said, Alex is not going to be 195 on the fight day. Alex is going to be 220, 230. He's going to be huge. So there is going to be a difference. It is going to be harder to take him down than Izzy, probably. And it's probably going to be harder to hold him down. And you look at Jan, right? How'd he get hurt against Glover? A left hook. What's Alex Pereira a merchant of? The left hook. That's his thing. So you can easily pitch either guy here, and you've got a good read. Like it makes sense either way, and that's why it's such an interesting and close fight. I just feel that if you have a fight where you think that you just have to look at what's wider, right? If you think the striking is close, but there's a wide gap on the ground, you're going to want to go with the guy who can grapple, right? If it's close in the grappling, but one guy's going to be much better on the feet, you're going to want to go with the guy who's better on the feet, right? So that's why if it flips and Jan's the underdog, I've got to go with him, because I think on the feet, he's still live. I used to think he was this low output guy, and he still kind of is, but he's definitely brought it up. And I was watching the Rakic fight, and I was like, damn, Jan, like, okay. Like, I really liked what I was seeing from him. Everything's nice, straight, down the pipe, good output, power's there. And I just feel that also there's that question, right? Alex just got knocked out. That was 3 months ago. And now he's coming up to light heavyweight for the first time, and he's fighting one of the most notorious power hitters in the light heavyweight division. So that's another thing. Do I think that's really going to weigh on it? No, not really. I think if Jan gets it done, it's going to be a mixture of the grappling and the striking. But this is a dope fight. I see a lot of people on Jan by sub, and that was kind of my gut instinct too. What's Jan by sub? But then I was watching the Izzy fight, right? And he went for a rear naked. He could have thrown hooks in, but he didn't. For some reason, he didn't bother throwing the hooks in, and he just went straight up for the choke, and Izzy just turned right out of it. So it's not like Jan's showing me this crazy, incredible ability on the ground. Long story short, really close fight. You take the underdog, in my opinion, here.
Really close fight, dude. And especially when you talk about the striking of both guys, right? Like Jan is, he's not out of his element on the feet. I think he's more defensively responsible, but Alex brings, more of a dynamic striking game, better striking selection. So it's a really odd fight, but he can be defensively irresponsible, right? So yeah, I mean, it's a fight I want nothing to do with betting wise. I just want to sit back and enjoy this as a fan. But if you have a very good lean on it, or if you want to go for that, that angle that I see a lot of people on, just like you said, Mike, that Jan by submission. I see a lot of people going that way with a lot of strong conviction too. But again, the only person that Jan has taken down in the last handful of fights is Israel Adesanya. So maybe that's something he's going to go back to in this fight, but I think the 3-round aspect of this changes it quite a bit. If this is a 5-round fight, I'd be probably a lot more confident in Jan Blachowicz, really, to mix in all efforts of mixed martial arts, all aspects of the game, and really pull away and separate himself. But 3-round fight, I don't know. It's going to be an interesting one. So a lot of question marks, too many for me to be confident in a side. But I wish everybody the best of luck in the side that they've chosen. We move along to the main event. for the BMF title. Everybody in the live chat, so glad you're hanging out with all 4 of us here. Hit the like, hit the subscribe. Make sure you guys follow Effie and Wizz in the description. You can find their links. Our awesome guests, especially Effie, dude. Thank you for making a makeshift studio. He's in the scene of the crime right now in Salt Lake City, about to see the fights in a couple days. So thank you guys for hanging out with us. But we move on to a rematch.
Models.
Show us the ironing board.
Yeah. What do you got?
All the MTV
Yes.
Very nice. That's a new thumbnail right there. That's a new thumbnail.
My mic stands on the ironing board right now, guys.
If you just switch up your channel name, just ironing board pics.
That's a consummate professional right there, dude. He doesn't care where he's at. He's got his microphone, the ironing board. I respect.
Dude, I was drinking waters at the press conference, be like, all right, I gotta be ready for the stream later.
He gets in his room, he pulls out the ironing board from the closet.
Yep.
This is for the stream.
Dude.
By the way, those who've had the under 3.5 P breaks for Effie, we're looking good.
No, we're not. It's happening right now.
It's
Number
been what, 2?
Right now. Yeah, that 2. But also, hey, I forgot to mention, I have the under 2.5 rounds in that Pereira fight, minus 155. I think someone gets finished in that fight.
What if we just have he's going to answer the door for a couple of Salt Lake City whores coming in to cap off the main event? But that would be great. But we move on. Dustin Poirier versus Justin Gaethje, part 2. 5 years in the making for this rematch for the BMF title. Since neither of these guys can capture the lightweight championship on their own accord, they're going to give them a belt here on Saturday night for their efforts, a little consolation prize, but it should be a very fun fight because the first fight they had back in the day was amazing. 4 rounds, just early 4th round TKO for Dustin Poirier. It was back and forth, but I think this fight will be kind of similar, right? With Justin Gaethje probably pressing the aggressive action, trying to keep Dustin Poirier on his back foot, trying to make it more of a close range fight. Dustin Poirier trying to use his better boxing, body shots, just good counters and things like that to make it more of a clean striking affair. But man, both guys have made some improvements. I think especially Justin Gaethje in his defense on the feet, he's made some improvements. You saw that against Rafael Fiziev last time out. But every time Justin Gaethje gets in these fights, man, it ends up being a car crash. Dustin Poirier does have some clean performances among them, but both guys really only losing to Charles Oliveira and Khabib Nurmagomedov in their last 8 fights. So interested to see your guys' opinions of this one, how you think that they line up. Right now, the money line is about minus 150 for Dustin Poirier, plus 125, the comeback on Justin Gaethje. WizzDoes, start us off, man. Do you have any action on this fight in the main event?
No action on this fight. I think personally this is a coin toss, and in these kind of fights, if it's a coin toss, it's either dog or pass. In this spot, personally, I'm passing. I just think both guys can get it done. Both are uber tough, and both bring the war. And now the one thing I will note is the way to beat Justin Gaethje is to bring the war out of him. And in his last couple of fights, if you look at it, Fiziev, I don't really agree that he won that fight, but Fiziev isn't the type of fighter that brings out a war usually. Charles Oliveira, he won the fight, brought the war to Justin Gaethje. Michael Chandler, that fight was kind of back and forth too. Brought the war and almost won. And then Khabib, who beat him by submission. So you're beating Justin Gaethje if you're bringing the war to him. And I think Poirier is a little bit less he doesn't have as much miles on the tank than Justin Gaethje. And by miles, I mean just hits to the chin. Gaethje's been through many wars, especially in the last 5 years since their last time out. I think Gaethje's been hit too many times. He's eaten too many clean punches on the chin, whereas Poirier, yeah, he lost by rear naked choke against Oliveira, but then you look at the rest of his fights, they're ending pretty quickly, and he's the one that's winning them. Against Conor the 2 times with the quick knockouts. And then before that, it was Dan Hooker, the unanimous decision. That was the last war that he's been in. So he's had time to recover and make up for all that damage. So I think in this fight, the durability is going to matter a lot. And I think he's the more technical striker. So give me Dustin Poirier here. Although I did say it was a dog or pass spot, but my gut instinct is Dustin Poirier here at minus 140.
Yeah, I like that. And speaking of minus 140, the over 2.5 in this matchup is around minus 140. The under 2.5 at plus 110. Effie, do you feel partial to either side of that? Any part of that over under calling your name?
Yeah, under. I think it's gonna go under 2.5. I think it's gonna go Justin's way. I've got Justin to the second round knockout here. As far as Dustin's most recent fights, man, he's coming off 2 southpaw fights against Connor where I mean, he beat the brakes off him in the most recent one where Connor had that freak injury. Dustin was winning that fight, bell to bell, really, until that finished. But the fight before, he lost round 1. He was getting hit plenty of times, and that was in Abu Dhabi. Every time someone fights on Fight Island, I kind of take it for like a grain of salt on it. Like it's a little iffy because like the travel, the racetrack right next door, like the sleep. There's a lot of like iffy stuff going into fights that happen on Fight Island, but before that, dude, that Chandler fight, he was 1-1 going into round 3, and that was a close fight against Michael Chandler. Almost got knocked down in that first round, got obviously controlled in that second round, and we have Justin Gaethje who's getting dropped by Tony Ferguson, getting saved by the bell, and he also had a war with Michael Chandler. But Justin Gaethje strikes me as someone that's fighting more cerebral and with more purpose here. I do think that he realizes this last shot, similar to Poirier. I'm not saying Poirier doesn't think this as well, but it strikes me as a fight where both guys know what's on the line, what's at risk here. And before that Fiziev fight, Justin Gaethje got nose surgery, just like Dricus du Plessis, and he got his nose fixed. And he looked fine. He looked good. The output was still there. He looked fresh in rounds 3, 4, and 5. 3 and 4. But, like, man, this is going to be such a good fight. They've both gotten so much better since that first fight. But I will say, like, Dustin should be the favorite. I do agree with Dustin being minus 145 here. I feel like every round could be close, and then a level change here by Dustin can get this fight down and he can win the rounds. The jiu-jitsu here is night and day, in my opinion, leaning toward Dustin. So yeah, Dustin definitely has more upside here in this fight, but I'm going with Justin Gaethje to get that knockout in that second round. And we do see a lot of times in UFC rematches are never the same. So I feel like this is going to be a battle right from the get-go. I feel like that first round, I wouldn't be surprised you see them like forget what is it, like just like the Dan Hooker fight. I think John Anik said on the broadcast, what a great round unless you like defense. And I think that's going to happen here again too. So yeah, man, give me Justin Gaethje round 2 knockout.
Fight Talk only in the building. What is going on, brother? Good to see you. Thoughts on the Poirier via sub round 3, 4, 5? I like the finish props in general, 4 and 5. I sprinkled 0.1 units on those for both guys in this one, just in case Effie is incorrect and this goes late. I think it'll fall apart and somebody will get finished.
I just looked it up. Dude, get this. On Bet Rivers, Poirier by sub in round 5 is plus 7,500. And round 4 is plus 5,000. I mean, yeah, I said it right. That's insane. I don't think it happens, but that's insane.
He definitely subbed Justin. Justin got dropped by the very first punch he took by Charles Oliveira. That's crazy. Like he got stunned. Like he was like, "Oh shit!"
How fast that match happened last year was just insane. I was didn't expect it to go that fast. But Mike, speaking of the grappling side of things, do you think this does enter that arena at all? Do you think either of these guys successfully shoots and lands a takedown, or do you think it's going to stay on the feet for the majority of it?
I think we're on the feet. So look, when we have rematches, we all know that more than likely they don't end up the same, right? You look at like the example that comes to mind for me, Rose Namajunas and Wei Li, right? Knockout the first, decision the second. Leon Edwards, Usman, every fight was different, right? Pereira, Izzy, both fights different. The thing is here, I don't know if it makes sense, but I think both guys have improved, but they've also stayed the same. The styles are the same. Everything is the same. They've just gotten better at what they were doing. Nothing's changed. They've just both improved. But the styles, everything's the same in my eyes, if that makes sense. I feel that, like, I taped it, right? And before I taped it, like I said, I got to this all late. I had my exam on Wednesday. I only got to do this recently. And I saw Gaethje, the spread, the plus 5.5 was minus 105 on Bet Online.
Oh.
And I was like, that's a pretty fucking good bet. Because if you don't think that he's going to get finished, the odds are he's probably going to win 2 rounds here. He's the guy who's trained at elevation, right? He's the guy who can keep it up at later rounds. He did pick up 2 rounds, I'm pretty sure. No, he didn't. I think he picked up only 1 round in the first Poirier fight, but that finished in the 4th, right? What what happens if it went to decision. I thought it was a pretty good bet, but then I taped it, and I'll be honest, even at this point where they're at, I think Poirier is just too good. He's so fucking slick, man. His striking is so good. Like, you watch it and you just get happy. You're like, damn, like it's so good. And Gaethje's still got it, he's got power. He lands great. The leg kicks are undeniable. They're undeniable. He goes to them a little bit less now, but we saw them in the first Poirier fight. They were very, very prevalent, and they made a big effect. And if he does them again, it could be it could be the difference here, and it could be how he wins. If he hits those leg kicks, right? We're up at elevation where he's comfortable. Who's really training harder right now? If you made me guess, I would think Gaethje's probably training a little harder. I think he's a little hungrier, personally. I think he's the hungrier guy. I think Poirier at this point in his career understands that he's not going to be champion, that at this point he's doing money fights. Gaethje, I think in his mind, in his fucked up mind, he still thinks he's going to be champ. He thinks he's going to win this, and then he's going to go knock out Islam. I think the proper bet here, what I did, I took fight ends by KO. It was minus 134 on DraftKings or FanDuel. I think DraftKings. I think it's a great line. We have 5 rounds for it to happen, and I think either party could get it. It could be Gaethje by hitting those legs, getting the late finish. It could be Poirier by just boxing him up again. Can Poirier get a sub? Absolutely. That's why it's just a 1-unit bet, not a 20-unit bet. But I just think I think it's a really good spot. I think both guys are going to take a lot of damage. We've seen this matchup before, and like I said, even though usually the second fight is different, I don't think it's going to be different this time around. And that's my favorite bet for this one. Fight ends by KO.
I like that one a lot. That's a good price on that, and I think it's a likely outcome here. I made some very irresponsible bets on this one. Not a lot of money, but kind of like exactly what 2 Cents was just saying here. Everybody's saying it's a 50-50 fight, but then picking Dustin. I'm on that side. I bet Dustin for 1.4 units at minus 140. But then I kind of came to my senses after taping it. I'm like, man, the optics for both guys, like the optics of Justin Gaethje slamming leg kicks, being very efficient with his strikes, and just moving forward the whole time. That does very well. But I do think Dustin's going to be the better boxer in this one and actually win this thing. But I think it is a very, very close fight, and I don't think I was on the value side by playing Dustin the way I did. I don't think I would probably line it minus 140, but I played it for the same numbers. So I kind of regret that one, but just being honest on that. I do like the late round props, though. I sprinkled 0.1 for just round 4, round 5 for both guys. That's huge plus money. And I think we do get into the later parts of this thing. But, man, what a fun fight. I can't believe it, man. It's going to be – it's one of the better rematches that's, like, not for – I mean, it is for a title, but you know what I mean? Like, it's just a fun thing that we've seen these guys pretty much win over most of the division the past 5 years, but just losing to the very top guys like Conor and Oliveira, both getting subbed. They're kind of on the same trajectory here, so it's going to be fun to see them clash on Saturday. I hope everything goes well at the weigh-ins tomorrow for all 12 of these fights. But, guys, it's been an honor breaking them down with you. We lined up on a lot of spots here, especially in the prelims. So give you guys the floor to shout out what you guys have going on, your channels. Wizz, how about we start with you, man? What do you got going on?
Wizz, we don't have a shoey, bro.
Oh, you guys want to call it right now?
Hey, I want to challenge Wizz to a shoey here.
Oh my god! Okay,
Wizz is mine.
All right,
hey, I'll do both. I'll do both.
Wizz, what are we? 5-3, 6. What is
I'm
it?
up 5-2. 5-2.
5-2.
Jeez, never mind. No, I'm joking.
He kicks my ass every time.
We'll see.
Who do you have in the Vergara Salvador fight?
Vergara.
Okay, I have Vergara too. Kopylov, Ribeiro.
Kopylov.
Yeah, same.
You're not getting me at a plus 170.
Chiesa,
dog.
Holland. You said Chiesa, right?
Yeah. You want to do that one?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right, bet. Done.
Holland, Chiesa, Shui,
Nice.
done.
There you go.
All right, Effie, you're next.
Blachowicz.
Oh, okay.
Blachowicz, easy.
I'll take Pereira.
I'll do it on my show. Yeah, dude, I love beer.
Boom, done.
Damn it, I should have taken that one.
Yeah, that was hey.
Yeah, that way you could lose again.
Jeez.
The 4-leg parlay that I think we all agree on here. We agree on Maverick, Semelsberger, probably Bonfim, and then what fight ends in KO for the main event. That's a 4-legger.
All right, let's do.
I could see Dustin sub, dude.
Leg. Everybody give a leg.
Oh, I like that. And then we all got to play it.
Yeah, because
Effie, start us off.
Fight Talk did
All
this
right.
for us on the last show with the Horseman, and he created like this sick graphic. So let's do it. I'm
I'm
down.
gonna write this down and play it after the show. Let's go.
Effie, first leg of the four-legger.
Oh, I'm going with the earliest fight then. Give me Maverick money line.
Okay, Maverick.
Wiz,
All right.
what do you got?
All right, so I'm locking it in as we speak. So Maverick money line. I'm gonna go ahead and say, give me the Lima money line. I just think that it's not close. Okay, no. I want something that everyone likes.
Don't let him talk you off of this. Don't let him talk you off.
I didn't even talk. I just made a fucking motion.
Okay, we can go with Bonfim then.
Yep.
All right, Mike, what do you got for
We
one?
actually have that parlay. Let's go.
Now Bonfim's gonna lose. Delima's gonna win, and I just cost us a parlay because I did one like this. Who am I gonna pick?
Yeah,
What
what's
am I
your
gonna
leg?
pick?
Could be a prop, anything.
I'm thinking. Yeah, let's go Poirier. Gaethje fight ends by KO.
All
And
right.
by the way, do Bonfim ITD minus 190. Better odds.
Okay.
Yeah, I agree with that. Yeah.
All right. I'll just do a basic one off the prelims. I like Semelsberger. It's one of the best legs for
Nice.
that one. So there it
That's
is.
gonna be good odds.
Oh, boys, I might
Well,
have a
hey,
third shoe lining up
I was
here.
gonna say really quick. I want to ask three of you guys: should I replace Maverick with Kopylov?
For this parlay,
No.
Just keep Maverick. Just keep Maverick.
either
I
one's
don't
valid.
see that.
Maverick works.
All right. Okay. Oh, that's what I'm saying. If you guys were.
That was
So we
your
got-
gut.
so we got-
Your gut.
So we got Maverick money line. We got Bonfim inside the distance. We got fight ends in KO in the main event, and we have Matt Semelsberger money line. Right?
I'm gonna check right now on
I actually
DraftKings
really
what
like that.
comes out to. Yeah, I like it too. I'm hyped.
Bullin Boys Sports Podcast. You have a deal. Third shoe is in. Let's go.
Hey,
There
shout
we
out to
are.
them. Shout out to Bullies Boys, dude. They have the comfiest merch, dude. I got one of their hoodies. It's so comfy, bro.
I got
I
to
fuck with those two. I like those two dudes a lot.
So funny, dude. They're
Tommy,
great
Tommy
show.
is down. You're gonna lose the shoey. I'm sorry. You got Lewis, you got Delima. It's over. Deal done. That's 3 shoeys.
All right. Appreciate all you guys in the chat that came out for this.
Graphic.
We got a lot of shoeys on the line. We got our 4-leg panel parlay. Thanks to Fight Talk Only for forcing us
I'm
on
coming
this
up with
one.
the odds right now.
And Jimmy the Drunk, my guy, what is going on? We have thanks for the $4.99. Alex Ramirez, the general, shouting out Alex Ramirez, quality member of the community. Man, Jimmy the Drunk, thank you. And you played matchmaker tonight too, my friend, calling the Ankalaev Yuri Prohaska. I like you giving some love to as I call him, Magomed Ankalaev or Jumbo Khabib. That's what I like calling him. So
Plus 386, by the way, guys.
plus 386 for Maverick, Semelsberger, Bonfim, ITD. Fight ends in KO, Gaethje, Poirier 2. All right. I like it.
Almost plus 400. That's nice, dude.
Locked in.
I'll play that one. Max bet it.
Max bet. Done. 10 units.
All 4 legs gonna lose.
Thanks to Victor for hanging out, dude. Good luck to you, my friend, as well. Wizz, shout out your content. Where can people find you? What do you have going on the rest of the week? I think you dropped your breakdown, your 1-minute breakdown, right?
Yes, sir. So you can find me on YouTube, on Twitter at WizzDoes. I have links to my Instagram as well. So yeah, I do a lot of stuff, whether it's breakdowns, whether it's media interviews, fighter interviews on a show I call Personality Pick. And I also interview members of the community. So looking forward to a good weekend of fights and looking forward to media appearances for the PFL all of next month, San Antonio and New York City. So I'm looking forward to seeing and meeting a bunch of you out there. And thank you, Pat. Thank you, Mike. Effie, it's been a pleasure for having me on.
Absolutely, dude. Check out WizzDoes. He does awesome interviews. The most recent one you had was former UFC and now PFL fighter Clay Collard. That was a pretty fun one you just did recently, too.
Yeah,
able to catch
Clay
that
is
one live.
awesome.
Did you ask him my question? I didn't get to watch.
He did he did say it was that one. Mhm.
That one?
Yeah, I asked him off air.
Nice.
Shout out Labreer.
What part of New York are you in?
What'd you say?
What part of New York are you in?
I'm in Brooklyn.
Okay, I might have to link up with you when I'm out there.
Hit me up, bro.
I got you.
Got to do those shoeys in person, dude.
We're gonna do a stream of me and Wizz freaking out of
Just
moves.
for shits and giggles.
Effie, tell the people where they can find your content and what do you have going on this week?
Yeah, man, hit me up on YouTube, Any Action Sportscast. I gotta say though, real quick, it's a travesty. It's just a crime that Wizz is not at 1,000 subscribers. Like Wizz should be at 1,000 subscribers like 2 years ago. Like this is
What are
crazy.
you at, Wiz?
I'm at 296.
Bro, that's
fuck?
crazy. That's crazy. Like, get the algorithm popping from a boy Wizz here. Like, this dude knows his stuff. I see him always
Much
putting in work, and
appreciated.
obviously he knows his
Thank
stuff. So, as far as me, man, I mean, I'm just some schmuck out here trying to win some bets. But hit me up at Any Action Sportscast, dude. I'm out there in Vegas, man. I got a lot of connections in the MMA space, you could say. But yeah, man, I'm making fights or breakdowns every card. You should say I'm just a guy that loves MMA. I love sports. That's why our name's Any Action Sportscast. I bet all sports, dude. I bet baseball. I'll bet Korean hockey if I have to. But yeah, man, thanks so much for having me on, man. And I gotta say, I'll make a video. I'm gonna make an edit. I wash my hands every time. All right, I don't want to see none of that in the chat. Thanks for having me on, guys.
We saw you
Let's
that
go.
last time. Wash your hands on purpose. We seen that.
Dude, the first one. Oh man, I can't wait to edit the first one. But thanks, guys. Thanks so much.
Of course, dude. Love having you. My co-host, the Couch Warrior podcast. Let the people know where they can find you, my friend.
Yes, sir. So speaking about YouTube, I'm at 940 right now, guys. We need 60 more to get me to 1,000. Let's get it done, please. Let's get that done. Trying to get the channel moving. At Couch Warrior Pod on Twitter, Couch Warrior Podcast on YouTube. I haven't gotten to do all the content that I used to do recently because I've been talking about it, whatever. Now we're back. I'm going to be putting out Dana White's Contender Series videos every fucking week. It's going to be early. You're going to get that shit. Usually I like to do it before the lines even drop. Going to have to catch up a bit. In terms of this week, not a lot. This is my only live breakdown for the whole card. So if you tuned in, good shit. This is all you're getting. Going to do my short videos tomorrow morning probably. It's just I do YouTube shorts. It's a minute each fight. You'll get that out there. I did prop talk today on Twitter. You can run that back. It's up on my Twitter. We just broke down the card from a prop perspective. It's a show I do every week with my guy MMA Propaholic. We were joined by Brady from DFS by the Numbers and Tim Troiano. So it was a very dope show. Make sure to run that one back. And yeah, that's all I got going this week. Thank you guys for tuning in. Thank you, Effie, Wizz, for coming on as always. Wizz, a friend of the show. I think at this point I've done like 30 podcasts with Wizz. Effie, I'm going to hit you up to come on my show soon too. And yeah, thank you guys all. Pat, as always, brother, love this shit. Thanks for doing it with me. And yeah, good luck, guys.
I always forget about that. It's always fun bringing people together that haven't done content together too, like Effie and Wizz, first time doing shows together, but I forget about that too. So it's cool. Building connections. We all love this sport. Everybody in the chat, you guys are awesome. Big pay-per-view this weekend. UFC 291. Good luck and enjoy the fights, you guys.